and all the rest. But that's what the Democrats are good at. They're good at gaslighting the American public and deceiving the American public.
Yeah, I mean, you're Wisconsin born and raised, but you do have this label that they're trying to stick to you. Oh, he's just a rich carpetbagger. How do you fight that if that takes hold?
They've spent more money attacking me than any of the 11 Republican Senate candidates. And that tells you how worried they are about this race. So after they spent, $4.5 million telling everybody I'm a Californian and all the rest, I had to literally do an ad saying, Senator Baldwin says this, but, this is where I was raised. This is where I went to high school. This is where, I'm a proud Badger. And this is where my business and this is where my family home is. And if she's not going to be honest with you about where I'm from and live, why couldn't you believe her about anything? But you just keep martial on and you keep talking about issues that, the American public really cares about, like inflation, like the fentanyl crisis. So those are the things that I stay focused on, and I think it's resonating.
With the convention coming up next week, the parties put out their agenda platform before the conventions. This time, there's no nationwide abortion ban in there. There's been pushback from some conservatives on that. How pragmatic does the party have to be on that issue, whatever your personal belief is? Like former President Trump said, look, you've got to get elected.
Look, it's been put back to the states. The reality of it is it will never get resolved in Washington because you would need one party not only controlling the presidency and the House, but 60 Senate seats because of the filibuster. So it's been pushed back to the states. My position has been very clear. The people of Wisconsin should resolve this in a compassionate, common sense way. I, believe in the beauty of life. And I agree with exceptions. And I agree that early on in a woman's pregnancy, that a woman should have a right to choose. However, there comes a point where a baby can be born healthy and alive where it's unconscionable to terminate that child's life. And Senator Baldwin has voted literally to allow abortions to happen up to the point of delivery, which is just unbelievable, unconscionable to me. So look, I think it has to come back to the voters, and every voter will have their vote, and will arrive at a solution in Wisconsin on this issue, like many other states have done.
Last question, just about the convention. Does something like that, do you think, help Republicans in the state that's hosting it? Maybe people in Wisconsin pay a little more attention to what Republicans have to say than they would have otherwise. Maybe they're watching the convention a little more closely. Do you think it helps a little bit?
I think it will help. Let's face it. It's not me saying this. Everybody has heard this. Whoever wins Wisconsin, will win the presidency. Wisconsin will be the deciding state. That's why Joe Biden has spent more time and more money in Wisconsin than any other state.
Eric Hovde, running for the United States Senate, Republican candidate, presumably, from the great state of Wisconsin. Eric, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on the Fox News Rundown.
Thank you so much.
And all next week, you can hear Fox News Audio's live nightly coverage of the Republican National Convention from Milwaukee, plus coverage and analysis every day here on the Fox News Rundown.
STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code CORE, or text CORE to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code CORE.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text CORE to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Message and data rates may apply. Paid for by Roundhouse Provisions. Summer congestion got you down. Whether it's allergies or a summer cold, being congested can ruin your whole day. You feel tired and run down like you're missing out on summer fun. At Navage, we're here to make breathing easy easier. Navage uses patented gentle suction technology to help clear out allergens, dust, and mucus without drugs. In just 30 seconds, you'll be on your way to a better day. Get Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, Sam's Club, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or online at Navage.com. Navage. Breathe better, fast.
Summer is heating up, just like the deals at Omaha Steaks. From perfectly aged steaks to juicy burgers, Omaha Steaks is your summer grilling headquarters. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale at omahasteaks.com for exclusive, unconditional money-back guaranteed packages starting at $99. Plus, get an extra $10 off with promo code SIZZLE at checkout. Visit omahasteaks.com, code SIZZLE for an extra $10 off. Shop the Hotter Than Fire sale today, before these deals go up in smoke. Omaha Steaks.
Columbo and Katie.
On Thursday, Crane Durham is my co-host. We'll talk about the increasing number of Democrats calling for the president to step down, plus Rep. Justin Sparks at 2:20 and Dr. Randy Tobler at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Attention homeowners and businesses. AMF Electric has been your trusted partner since 1985. For your home, our residential experts treat every project with the utmost care and importance. From simple repairs to complete renovations, we've got you covered. Businesses, our commercial team handles all types of construction with expertise and efficiency. Even clients from out of state request our top-notch services. Available 24/7. We're just a call away at 314-647-4066 or amfelectric.com.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Christopher Ruddy, he's the founder and CEO of Newsmax.
Soros recently announced that his number one goal was to stop Donald Trump, and they have put their money where their mouth is. He took control of the largest conservative Hispanic talk station, Radio Mambi in Miami, and of course moving that more liberal. And so he's going to get control of a lot of conservative talk stations. And I think it's problematic.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A+ Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A+ has always done great work for a great price. A+ Plumbing and Drain is a local family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A+ for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A+ Plumbing and Drain.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home.
America, I believe in you, the American people.
We will fight for America like no one has ever fought before.
Americans across the country are ready.
And so are we.
This is Democracy 24.
Your freedom, your vote.
Fox News.
America is watching.
At what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Thursday, July 11th, 2024. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown. Democratic leaders are now publicly expressing doubts over President Biden's candidacy in the 2024 election. Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer has more.
What a week for President Biden, as more and more Democrats are calling on him to drop out of the presidential race. And some of the most powerful Democrats are now open to leaving Biden off the ticket. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries raised eyebrows with reports and comments regarding Biden's candidacy. Axios is reporting that Schumer is open to supporting a different candidate for the Democratic ticket. And according to reports, Schumer has been begin listening to donor suggestions on a path forward for the party. However, Chuck Schumer maintains his support for President Biden.
Meantime, Vermont Senator Peter Welch becomes the first Senate Democrat to call for President Biden to step down for, quote, the good of the country. The president, however, remains committed to staying in the race. The summer meeting of U.S. governors kicking off today in Utah. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more on that.
The National Governors Association summer meeting in Salt Lake City will feature bipartisan conversations on issues in states, commonwealths, and territories. One of the association's priorities is Disagree Better, an initiative launched last year in an effort to help people engage in healthier conversations, especially when it comes to deep divides over politics. Governors will hear from federal officials, business leaders, academic world standouts, and Oscar-winning actor Matthew McConaughey, who will be part of a discussion on the role of culture in polarization. The summer meeting of the NGA runs through tomorrow. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
As American officials celebrate NATO's 75th anniversary, they are also reiterating the U.S.'s commitment to the alliance. Fox's Kevin Uretsky has more in this Securing America.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin saying Wednesday,
any attempt to undermine NATO only undermines American security.
Officials also admit the geopolitical landscape continues to change. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
With not only new actors posing challenges, but also new means, new methods.
Military leaders say the war in Ukraine has changed NATO's approach. American General Chris Cavoli is the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe.
Instead of what will you make available, the question is, if we got into a large-scale fight, what would you not make available? We assume you'll make most of your military available.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Well, the city attorney of Sacramento in California warning a local Target retail store that they could face consequences if they don't stop calling police after the store gets robbed. Fox's Christina Coleman has more details on this story.
The Sacramento City's attorney's office warned a Target store that it could face a public nuisance charge for calling police over and over to report on the thieves repeatedly stealing from the property, according to the Sacramento Bee. Now, the local CBS affiliate reports that the city's office drafted a letter with a warning, but never sent it. Either way, the mention of this was concerning to local lawmakers who say this state is too soft on crime. Retail crime remains a huge problem in this state, especially in the Bay Area. Since January, California's Organized Retail Crime Task Force recovered more than 216,000 stolen goods valued at nearly $5.7 million.
California Secretary of State announcing that petitioners had gathered enough signatures to put a measure to reform Proposition 47 on the ballot, which would enhance penalties for drug and theft crimes if passed. Thousands of Texans still without power as cleanup continuing following Hurricane Beryl, which made landfall early on Monday morning this past week. The storm system now still dumping significant amounts of rain to upstate New York, parts of southern Canada, as well as in Ohio and across Pennsylvania. The rain and the storm system expected to completely be out of the Northeast by the weekend. And Bob Dylan fans going to have something to sing about come September. Fox's Michelle Polino has more on this.
Bob Dylan is releasing a 27 box set that includes full recordings of 27 out of the 40 shows he played on his 1974 concert tour with the band. This concert was Dylan's theatrical return to the stage with the backing of his group, with whom he made his most memorable music. The set will be released September 20th and will retail for nearly $130. It includes some 417 previously unreleased performances. The 1974 live recordings will only be his third largest box set, following the 47 CD complete album collection released in 2013 and the 36 CD set chronicling Dylan and the band's 1966 tour. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
And articles of impeachment being introduced against two Supreme Court justices.
New York progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez claims the Supreme Court has a, quote, inability to preserve its own legitimate conduct. The Congresswoman's articles of impeachment against Justice Clarence Thomas accuses him of failing to disclose financial income, gifts, and reimbursements, while the articles against Justice Samuel Alito accuses him of failing to recuse himself, quote, from cases in which he had a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party in cases before the court. The articles have little chance of passing the Republican-controlled House. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
And there's your rundown for this Thursday morning, July 11th, 2024. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Steve Bucci will be with us talking about the NATO meeting in D.C. And at 5:20, Chris DeGaulle of Herzog talks about his RFK Jr. interview.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri for many years. They are a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Royal Banks offers Missouri a full range of financial services covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. Royal Banks of Missouri also offers convenient interactive teller machines that will connect you with a banker virtually and in real time, available at all their branch locations, and those are open weekdays from 8 to 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. That's Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Thursday, the New York Times, which is pretty much in business with the Democratic Party, a newspaper has not endorsed a Republican in more than 75 years or something like that. They really want Joe Biden gone. 2 editorials. Joe must go. Why? Why do they want him out so much? Because they know what I know and what you probably know as well. That something else is going to happen to Joe Biden as president that's going to demonstrate his unfitness. That's inevitable. So the liberal wing of the Democratic Party goes, we can't afford that. So in October, President Biden can't get out of bed. That's the kind of scenario that is in place among the left wing of the Democratic Party, led by Barack Obama, by the way. Enter George Clooney, a devotee of liberal politics, longtime Democrat, big fundraiser for the Dems. A few weeks ago, what was that? 25 million, 50 million out in Hollywood. Clooney writes an op-ed in the New York Times saying our party leaders need to stop telling us that we didn't see what we just saw. We're also terrified by the prospect of a second Trump term we've opted to ignore every warning sign about President Biden. Biden must go, according to George Clooney. Now, the New York Times solicited that, and that should tell you everything you need to know. Now this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt
Staff
Chase.
Sergeant Mark Anthony Madrid.
Staff Sergeant Samantha
I'm Staff Sergeant Alex
Staff
Steele.
Sergeant William Lewis, and I am proud to defend my family and our nation.
The Air Force Reserve is part of the story of this great nation.
I'm grateful that I have a chance to wear the uniform of the heroes that went before me.
I'm proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference in the world.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as reserve citizen airmen. Even as technology evolves and changes, our commitment to defend and protect this nation remains steadfast. We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving. We celebrate our proud history and look towards an exciting and uniting future. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
And I am proud to be a member. And I'm proud to serve the United States.
And I am proud to protect our country.
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Are we seeing even more dissension on the left when it comes to Joe Biden staying in this race? I just have a feeling over the next 48, maybe 72 hours, we're going to see that debate become even more intense, but we'll update you on it here in just a little bit. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. As always, I really appreciate you making News Talk STL part of your morning, especially here on Thursday. I know I say that every day. That is not a throwaway line, my friends. I really do appreciate it. If you decide to watch us online, of course, you can watch us on Facebook, but check out Rumble as well. You don't have to have an account. Just look at Rumble and just look up News Talk STL. If you do set up an account, which is free, you can get involved in the chat box conversation, which is a lot of fun. All right, you've heard a lot about Project 2025, like it's some brand new thing the media just discovered or the left just discovered. The reality is, I think they needed a scapegoat to try to put the spotlight on to get it off of Joe Biden for all the reasons I just mentioned. So what is Project 2025? And also, what kind of impact would it have if Donald Trump wins the next election? Well, we had a conversation with somebody involved in Project 2025. His name is Brian Phillips. He's with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, which is part of the coalition that was put together by the Heritage Foundation to develop and implement Project 2025, or at least offer it to Donald Trump should he win the election. Here's what Brian had to say. The president, the left, the media, they've discovered Project 2025, and this is their latest boogeyman. Yeah. Okay. Project 2025 has been in the works for a long time. And what's so scary about it? Well, let's do some myth busting and let's talk about what it is and what it's not. Joined now by Brian Phillips with the Texas Public Policy Foundation, which is part of the coalition
on Project 2025. And Brian, appreciate you being on the show. You know, it's funny, on one of my other shows, the national one that I do, I interviewed somebody from the Heritage Foundation long ago about, Project 2025. I thought, well, that's interesting. Preparing in case there's another president that a Republican comes in. And back at the time, we didn't know who the nominee was going to be. And I swear to God, I don't even remember who I interviewed for that. That's how long ago that's been. But suddenly Project 2025 is the new destruction of the world. So let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. Really what we're talking about is sort of a conservative set of goals and agendas. And then also, hey, let's find people who could serve a president who buys into this, right?
That's right. Thanks so much for having me on the show to bust all these myths, because it's pretty ridiculous how bad it's getting out there. Yeah, let's just broadly what it is it's an effort on the part of the conservative movement. There's over 100 groups that are part of this part of this project. And you're right, it did start 2 years ago, and we launched in April of last year. And it's really what it is an effort to restore the constitutional role of the federal government, in particular the executive branch, which, of course, I probably don't need to convince your listeners over the last 3 or 4 years that the executive branch has gotten completely out of control. But it's really something that's been going on for, frankly, the last 3 or 4 decades, and it's become really entrenched. And it's become something that is really affecting our constitutional liberties. It certainly is affecting the rights of individuals, the rights of property owners across this country. And it's something that unfortunately, I don't think, politicians, even the good ones, folks like Mike Lee and others who have been able to create the sense of urgency to do something about it. And so the conservative movement got together a couple of years ago and says, we have to create awareness about this problem. And you mentioned it. Yes, it's basically 2 parts. The first is, we went through and meticulously dissected every single department in the federal government, of all the major agencies, particularly the ones that have the most egregious problems with violating constitutional rights. And we went through and dissected each one of them, and not only brought awareness about the problems and examples of where the agencies and departments have violated our rights, but the solutions, the structural solutions, frankly, on how to fix those things, how to fix government so that it actually works for the people. So we have the Mandate for Leadership, which is the book, and anyone can download it at project2025.org. It's available there to see. Unfortunately, most of the people that are criticizing it have never cracked the book. But the second part is, as you mentioned, is that, Reagan coined the term personnel as policy, and it is still very true today. And so it's very important that we don't necessarily have, necessarily acolytes or even necessarily ideological conservatives that are in these positions. But what we do need are people that understand that it is the job of the executive branch to faithfully execute the laws, to understand the limits of their authority, and to not have their own agendas, and in some cases, literally undermining the current policies or the policies of the current presidency. And so it is twofold. It is both fixing what's wrong with government, but then also making sure we have the personnel that understands what their constitutional role is.
Okay, so in other words, and I'm getting this from like MSNBC, the others. So in other words, what you're saying is this is a deep, dark scheme to take over the country and implement complete dictatorship and fascist and put us all in chains.
Yes, the deep dark scheme that was promulgated 250 years ago in our Constitution.
Good morning, Brett.
Yeah, no, it is. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your answer there.
No, I was gonna go back down the rabbit hole of the deep dark scheme.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm looking at a listing, and I have no idea what this group is on Facebook, but it kind of came up when I looked for Project 2025. I was looking for headlines, a lot of the fear mongering, things like that. And here's a list of the scary things that that they say that Project 2025 is advocating for. Now, some of them I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, I like that.
Well, you are wearing a Darth Vader.
Yeah,
Darth Vader.
I am. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, exactly. So they're suggesting mass deportations of now they say immigrants, but I'm assuming that it's illegal immigrants because we have that Constitution thing. Increased Arctic drilling is like okay, I'm good with that. Now some of these also seem to be a bit nebulous, and they're referring to policies. Now, I don't expect you to know each and every policy that's in this, but they're suggesting things like raising the retirement age. Now, what is that about?
Well, raising the retirement age and I believe that in this case, it would be an optional thing. That it is, as I remember it, it would be something that would either happen gradually over time and you're speaking specifically about raising the age of retirement to receive Social Security
benefits. Yes, I'm assuming that's what it's related to.
Yeah, and when those rules were made, decades and decades ago, obviously life expectancy was different. I think it's only about 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years in terms of, but what that would do in terms of improving the solvency of Social Security, so that it would in fact create more of a safety net and would be solvent for the next 70 to 100 years. It's essentially it's a gradual change of like 3 to 4 to 5 years. And I believe that there are some proposals. In fact, it would be optional. It wouldn't be mandatory for you to retire at a certain age, but that you could opt in to retire at a later age. And again, that would be a gradual implementation of that rule. I think that's specifically what that's talking about. But again, it is 900 pages. I have read it, but I certainly haven't memorized it. But I do know that the importance of the book, I wish, more listeners would go read it. Not expecting most folks to go read 900 pages, but I think it is interesting. We divide it up by department and by major agency. So if there is something that your listeners are very interested in, say the weaponization of the DOJ or the elimination of the Department of Education or the EPA or some of these other agencies, just go straight there. When you read it, it is eminently digestible. This is not think tank speak. You can go in, you can read it. We've got examples of some of the most egregious violations of our rights in there. So it sort of spells out the problem. And then it offers those solutions, both policy solutions that maybe Congress could pass, but also just structural solutions so that the next president can actually make those changes, on day one and be ready to go with the administration he needs to work for the American people.
Good morning, Brian. Stal Ponticus here. A few months ago, I watched Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, literally do a throwdown in Davos in front of the World Economic Forum, which was pretty awesome. And I didn't realize he even got an invitation. I don't know how that happened, but that was great to see him there.
We thought he'd gone to Little Washington. When we heard he was going, we thought, oh no, here it comes. He's going. He's succumbing to the swamp. But of course, that wasn't the case.
No, not at all. I mean, that was a real eye opener, and for him to do it in front of all those globalists, wow, that was pretty impressive. And it seems like Project 2025 is kind of that same type of eye opener for people. Would you agree with that?
I really hope it is. I mean, and that's a really good way to put it. I mean, we want to create this sense of urgency around this issue because it's not the sexy thing. Fixing government is not the sexy thing that's going to hit the front pages. People want to talk about border security and inflation, and all those issues are critically important to the lives of everyday Americans. But so are our individual freedoms, and they're being eroded by unaccountable bureaucrats that are spread throughout our executive branch. People who who believe that their agendas and what they think the world should look like are more important than that of the American people, and particularly the elected officials, the people who are elected by the American people to lead. And so eye-opening, we hope we're opening a lot of eyes. And frankly, with this recent attack and attention that we've gotten, we think it's done, frankly, more good than harm because people are starting to ask questions about it. And so we're able to do interviews like this to wake people up that this is a major issue. This is something that when you walk outside of your house or when you try to get your kids to school or you try to open your business in the morning, all of these regulations and rules that you have to follow come from somewhere. And the vast majority of them, I would argue, are at least constitutionally suspect, if not outright violations of the law. It's just that a lot of people, the mom and pop business owner don't have the resources to fight them in courts the way that some, bigger businesses and corporations do. So, I would argue this is as important of an issue that we need to be addressing. And for whatever reason, I guess the politicians haven't really glommed onto this. So it's got to come from the ground up. It's got to come from the grassroots. And that's why all these organizations, these conservative organizations, 110 of them got together a couple of years ago and said, we're going to bring some serious awareness to this. So, thank you, MSNBC, for highlighting it.
Yeah, that's right. We're visiting with Brian Phillips from the Texas Public Policy Foundation. I'm a little heavy on the segment, Brian, so I'm just going to try to sneak in one more question here. And this is when it comes to proposing, a conservative agenda, even to go into the point of saying, here's a list of people that we recommend you choose from to implement that agenda. And I love that Reagan quote that you put out there. This isn't a new concept. Think tanks and advocacy groups on both sides have been wanting a place at the table after an election for years and years and years, if not decades as well. So this isn't anything new that's out there. And there's no guarantee that if Donald Trump wins the election, that he's going to buy into what you're doing or hire the people that you suggest. But it sure does make it easy to say, here's a plug and play, at least to some degree, plug and play, policy team and policy goals. So in the end, the point is trying to move the country in a more conservative, constitutional, free market direction.
That's exactly right. And, what we thought is, look, every administration, particularly every new administration, goes through bumps and bruises at the beginning to try and figure out how to get people in the right seats. And we just figured, look, let's do as much as we possibly can to help the next conservative president understand what the real problems are inside his administration. Here's a 900-page book of potential policy solutions for that. Take them or leave them as you will. Here's every organization would say, be consulted on who they think, should be the next Secretary of State and all of that. But we've actually got a database of people who, will fill those intermediate positions as well. Again, take it or leave it as you want. But here's a significant and valuable resource that's ready to go on day one. The president's always going to pick the people that he wants. But if this database is available and it's helpful to the next conservative president, we certainly will make that available.
All right. And people learn more about the whole kit and caboodle where?
Project2025.org. You can download the book. Again, don't try to read it all in one sitting. It's not summer reading, but pick out your favorite chapters. Definitely read the foreword by Kevin Roberts. It'll get you motivated and ready to fight.
All right, the first morning news dump of the day coming your way here in just about 2 minutes and 37 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose Dixon Notch. Yeah. You lost America.
I saw it etched on a coin somewhere.
This is News Talk STL.
Missouri education officials must be bad poker players. They keep doubling down on the same bad bet. Public school students haven't been reading or doing math at their grade level for way too long. Last year, a horrifying 40% were regarded as not college or career ready after high school. Many states have adopted school choice. Iowa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all provide money so families can choose the public or private school that works for them. And Kansas has one of the strongest public school choice programs in the nation. Nearly every family in Missouri has given exactly two choices for their children's education. They're assigned public school or learning online. That's it. Our neighbors trust their parents to choose the right school for their kids. Missouri doesn't, so enrollment is already shrinking. That will mean fewer high school graduates, college students, and workers. A bad bet indeed. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Every morning there's a halo hanging from the corner of my girlfriend's 4-pound bed.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, the U.S. House passes a bill that says states must make sure only citizens are voting in our elections.
Okay.
A lot of Democrats are upset by that.
I'm not surprised. That says a lot right there.
See, I don't know what's worse. Is that a lot of Democrats are upset about that, or that you're not surprised that a lot of Democrats are upset by that?
I think both.
Yeah. All right. President Biden explains part of the reason prices are so high on daily necessities. He's going to clear some of this up for us.
Did he go shopping?
Well, no, I don't think so. No. And the Cardinals kind of had a rough day at the office yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
All right. 5:54 right now. All right. Let's start with this SAVE Act. The House of Representatives passing the SAVE Act on Wednesday, which, if signed into law, and it won't be, requires proof of citizenship for voter registration. Senator Ted Cruz was on Hannity last night trying to assess why Democrats would oppose it.
The 11.5 million illegal aliens that Joe Biden and the Democrats have let in, they want them to vote because they think and believe they will vote for Democrats.
All right. The House passed that bill 221 to 198. 198 Democrats voted against a bill that says states must make sure that voters are citizens.
Yeah, you want to have election integrity. And boy, that says it all for the Democratic Party.
198 Democrats apparently don't. So don't project on other people, Stel. Jeez. All right. After a private foundation pays for a recruiting campaign, St. Louis police see an uptick in applications to become officers. The St. Louis Police Foundation funded the 2-month campaign in May and June. Over 124 applications came in. That's twice what the department normally gets. Those applicants are now being vetted, so not all of them are going to make it through. The department is still around 300 officers short of the staffing that they should have for a city the size of St. Louis.
Well, at least that's a start.
It's somewhere. Yeah,
Okay.
it's something. It's still, but also I also noticed that it was a private foundation that paid for the recruitment campaign, not the city itself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. President Biden delivering remarks to union leaders at an AFL-CIO meeting on Wednesday. President says he and his administration are making strong progress in improving the U.S. economy, but they've got more work to do. And guess whose fault it is that some necessities are so darn expensive these days?
Food prices are still too high because of corporate greed. We're in a situation where rents are too high. We need more housing. A whole range of things we're going to get done with your help in the second term, because that's what we got to get done.
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed.
That's all. That's what I think of when I go in the grocery store.
That darn corporate greed.
And those farmers.
Jeez.
Those eggs and that bread.
Unbelievable. All right. Window World, of course, one of our great sponsors here, raising money for a great nonprofit, and your home could get a complete makeover in the process. This is really cool. Company is auctioning off a $45,000 home renovation that includes 15 windows, insulated siding, gutters, oversized downspouts, and a front door entry system, among other things as well. Bidding is open to anyone here in the St. Louis area, Kansas City, Columbia, Springfield, Illinois, and Peoria, Illinois areas. Proceeds benefit Action for Autism, which supports children with autism and their families. Learn more at windowworldkansascity.com. I'm also going to put the link to the auction on the social media as well. Bids will be accepted through July 18th. Excuse me.
Very good.
All right. Cardinals had a rough day at the office. They lost both ends of the doubleheader to the Royals yesterday. First game, they lost 6-4. Second game, they lost 8-5.
Not good.
Salvador Perez hit a lot of home runs.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Severs JCB is where you need to go for the industry's best compact track loaders, featuring the iconic single-arm JCB power boom and side door entry. JCB compact track loaders are stronger and safer than conventional twin-arm machines, and they deliver the power and performance you need. For a limited time, get financing rates as low as 0.99% on new JCB compact track loaders, or take a generous cash incentive. Stop into your local Severs JCB or visit seversjcb.com.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy. Regardless of your health condition, you could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Despite millions of illegal aliens streaming into the country in recent years, 198 House Democrats have voted against a Republican bill that would require Americans to show proof of U.S. citizenship before voting. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise says that now it's crystal clear President Biden and the Democrats want those illegal alien votes.
No wonder when you look at all the Democrats that are abandoning Joe Biden, that he opposes a bill that says illegals can't vote. I guess he's looking for additional votes since he doesn't have his own party's votes anymore.
The Republican SAVE Act expected to get bottled up in the Democrat-controlled Senate, and President Biden has promised a veto. U.S. Senator Democrat Peter Welch of Vermont and Democrat partisans George Clooney and Rob Reiner have something in common. They've joined the call for President Biden to quit the White House race. Mr. Biden will try to quiet doubts about his abilities at a late afternoon Washington news conference.
The president will face questions from the White House press corps at the conclusion of the NATO summit. Mr. Biden and his campaign hope to use the event to fend off continued calls for him to withdraw from the 2024 presidential race, given concerns about his age and mental fitness. He has argued he had a bad night at the debate 2 weeks ago and believes a strong performance this afternoon will convince members of his party that he still has the ability both to win in November and to serve a second term. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The remnants of Hurricane Beryl have triggered flash flooding across parts of upstate New York into New England. More than 1 million utility customers remain without electricity in and around sweltering Houston. The June Consumer Price Index due for release later this morning, and ahead of that, stock futures are in the red. The Dow futures are down 59 points. NASDAQ futures off 21 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes the trust of people like you. And that's why an estimated 14 million givers look for the ECFA seal. Over 2,700 leading ministries across the U.S. display ECFA seal, demonstrating that they live up to biblical standards of financial accountability, responsible governance, and trust. So next time you donate, look for the ECFA seal, a widely recognized symbol of trust. Visit ECFA.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Liberal mega donors are always looking for new rhinos to do their bidding. And with Adam Schnelting, they found their new star. Adam Schnelting has already backed their radical plan to defund our police. And he skipped countless important conservative votes. Skipped a vote to protect kids from sexually explicit materials in school. And skipped a vote to protect churches from junk lawsuits. It's no wonder Adam Schnelting is bankrolled by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's top funders. Bill Cristofanelli is the only leader we can trust to protect our conservative priorities. When radicals tried to defund the police, Bill Cristofanelli passed record funding from Missouri's law enforcement. When Joe Biden left our southern border wide open, conservative Bill Cristofanelli banned sanctuary cities and voted to send Missouri National Guard troops to secure the border. Vote Bill Cristofanelli, the proven conservative, for state senate.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
What happens next?
Everything we have to do with, look, if
happens right here.
We finally beat Medicare.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
All right, the search for more police officers in the city continues, but without much help from City Hall. It's interesting. The news stories are, talking about how they had 120 some odd applicants to become police officers. And then there was one part of that story that jumped out at me, which I'll get to here in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, at 6:20, I have a reminder that, yes, they are coming for your kids.
Oh, gosh, yes.
They are coming for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's as bad as I just made that sound, by the way.
Probably worse.
Yeah, it is. There it is. All right, it is 6:06 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. I'm Mike. I've said it all the time. You guys have heard me say this a million times. When you've lost George Clooney, you've lost America.
Oh gosh, you've said it so much. I'm tired of it.
You're like, it's like, Kathy's like, Stell, wake up, nightmare. You lost George Clooney. Mike,
Mike keeps reminding me.
That's right. It's kind of funny because some of these. Hollywood types, they really think that they are that important.
Oh gosh, yes.
I mean, they have this inflated sense of self-importance, but he's a big deal in Democratic circles. I mean, what was it, just 2 or 3 weeks ago, he hosted a fundraiser for Biden that brought in like $28 million.
He loves to chime on that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had the biggest fundraiser.
Well, to be fair, that does make him a big dog.
Yes, exactly.
Once the dollars start flowing.
And so he writes an op-ed, and the New York Times post it because when I want to know, the opinions to consider, I definitely want to hear from actors.
Oh, yes. Important voices.
Yeah, he's basically said in that op-ed in the New York Times, he still likes Joe Biden, but the party's going to lose if he stays in the presidential race. And so after raising all that money for him, then, of course, after that, the debate and the debacle and everything, George Clooney is the latest to go public saying, he needs to step aside and let somebody else run.
Mm-hmm. By the way, in a related note, speaking of mainstream media, it was either Forbes or I can't think of what the other publication could have been. Main story that came out front page was billionaires bailing on Biden.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. I appreciate the alliteration.
That's right. I mean, nice. But hey, you want a return on your investment.
Mm-hmm.
You do,
right?
Obviously.
And at this point,
Wall Street Journal, it might have been. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Forbes
yeah.
or Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, of course, it's funny because then George Clooney goes through and is writing, all the ins and outs because we're supposed to look at him as an expert on something. The guy's
He's a pundit now.
He's a talented actor. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But at some point it's like you're one of the kings of your world. Why do you think that you should be like a cultural driver? But anyway, but it's interesting how much media is actually covering. George Clooney says, "Oh my gosh, this could be the game changer." Okay,
No, that's it.
Because the actor doesn't think you're going to win.
Right.
That's the game changer.
That's the one. That's the one he needed. Joe Biden needed.
Oh my goodness. So that's where it's at. What's interesting here is that, well, a lot of things interesting about it, but what's interesting is the hard left, which is so reliable for Democrats in power, especially leftist Democrats in power, that they are openly talking about, hey, this isn't going to work. We all know it. I know it. You know it. Time to bail. And in the 7 o'clock hour, there's a massive power broker in Washington, D.C. on the Democrats who's now looking at possibly bailing on Biden. And I think that would be the game changer and the nail in the coffin. But I'll tell you about that a little bit later.
Okay.
So if George Clooney can lead a $28 million fundraiser, could he also lead those donors somewhere else?
Well, generally speaking, they kind of try to run in the same circles. Right. The people who all show up at the $1,500 a plate dinners, I imagine are kind of, they regard each other as, I don't want to say co-conspirators, but basically that's co-conspirator, fellow
teammates,
comrades, teammates, so they're, I don't see them breaking away from each other or from the one who brought them to the dance. You know what I mean? In that regard, that being Clooney as opposed to Biden.
Okay, you guys pick a name, throw out a name. If I say Joe Biden steps aside, he doesn't run, just pick a name for a presidential candidate the Democrats would unite behind. Not saying you'd like him or anything, but just pick a name.
I can't pick one, to be honest with you. The roster is so weak.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, all right, fine. If you want to put Kamala at the top, go ahead.
Kamala Harris. Yeah, pick a name.
I keep coming back to Gavin Newsom only because of the name recognition and the fact that he's popular in the right circles in California as opposed to in California.
Okay, so whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Gavin Newsom, I'll just grab one out of the air. J.B. Pritzker, although I don't think he's going to be the guy. George Clooney can now say, listen, I raised $28 million in a day. If we need you to step up, I'll call my buddies. We'll do it for you too. So get in there and start running. We'll get the financing. You know what? We can probably, between us and New York City and, Miami or whatever, we can probably get you $100 million in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that's why I say just pick a name.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Right.
If somebody can raise that much money in one night for a pseudo vegetable, they can tell somebody else who may be saying, because if you're Gavin Newsom or you're J.B. Pritzker or you're Gretchen Whitman or you're whoever, if you're Kamala Harris, you're just you're in whether you like it or not. But all the others, they're like, do I risk taking a big loss because of the debacle that my party is in right now?
Right.
And you say, or do I wait till 2028 when there is an open seat no matter what? And you've got somebody saying, listen, if you get in there now, we'll raise $100 million for you over the next week or two. We'll get you that on-ramp.
The reason I side towards Kamala is she checks off all the boxes for them. And if she's not going to be there somewhere at the top of the ticket, there's going to be so much pushback from so many different facets of the Democratic Party that it's going to be tough for them to overcome. Pritzker is interesting because he's got his own money to boost himself, plus everything from all the other sources. So, a lot of money there.
Oh, yeah.
When I was evaluating this even beforehand, I underestimated how self-important the individual candidates are. Because I thought, everybody's there's some power broker behind the scenes who's going to basically give them their marching orders. Here's what you're gonna do for the good of the party. We got to get the ideology through. But I think a lot of these people, they believe their own hype, and they're going to fight tooth and nail as the power brokers try to make these deals, which is, I think, why we're starting to see behind the curtain. We're starting to see these discussions in public as opposed to in private where they usually happen. So who knows exactly what these people are going to be willing to do. Do they, one question to what you asked there, do they step up and risk the loss this time around rather than wait? I guess it depends on whether they think they can get a second bite of the apple.
Right. Yeah.
I think they're petrified at the thought of Trump being back in office.
Oh, sure they are. Without a doubt.
And I mean, up and down the line, and I see no way that anybody can avoid that attitude that they have. So I think they'll try to do anything. Look at Carville, James Carville, who's definitely not a woke Democrat. He's kind of, on the
he's an old school liberal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's been adamant about saying, no, we got to make a change here. Something's got to change. So I think if Carville's thinking that, along with Axelrod and the Clintons and the Obamas, that's a lot of pressure from above.
I think the main issue is they don't think they're risking any leftist or standard Democrat voter. They're worried about the middle.
Right.
They're worried because those are the people who turn the elections every single time, right? So they don't want to either have enough of them stay home to give Donald Trump the win, or enough of them to cross over to give him the win, because that's what it's looking like right now. That's what that's all the predictions of the bloodbath and all these other things where that's coming from. It's the idea that the low information voter that they're usually able to manipulate has now had their eyes open to the condition of the current man at the top of the ticket, and they're going to make a relatively reasonable decision based on what they see.
And time is not on their side. They've got less than 4 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which to build and launch a presidential campaign basically from scratch in that amount of time, that's a massive, massive undertaking. But what I think they're really worried about, U.S. Senate, U.S. House. But also, let me just point out, remember the red wave of 2022, all indications were that Republicans were going to sweep through everything. And it didn't happen.
Oh no!
It was a horrible voters did not go that way. I remember here in the studio, I was being asked by one of our other hosts, or because they were really expecting the big red wins, and they said, "What about the Senate?" And I'm like, "Don't get your hopes up." And they looked at me, and that person looked at me like I had 3 eyeballs. They're like, "Are you kidding me? We're going to sweep through." No, you're not. No, you're not. And they didn't. And so keep in mind, voters are very, very finicky. And also younger voters are breaking hard to the Democrats right now.
Yeah.
So
primarily because of abortion, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of that is because of abortion right now.
And then, of course, the bribes from the student loans.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did see some interesting information from the Cook Political Report. I think it was yesterday or the day before, regarding the Hispanic community and how much that has shifted towards Trump.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty dramatic shift. And I thought, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of movement throughout, and it's just kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, basically, we haven't the slightest idea what's going to happen.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Election. Anybody who tells you, I know exactly how it's going to turn out. No, they don't.
No. Not at all.
All right. Let's talk about the fact that, yes, they are coming for your kids. You just mentioned Gavin Newsom. He's got a great big decision to make. And I think we know what he wants to do, but what will he do, since he is in the mix for possibly being a presidential contender? Really, it's sick, the decision-making process that has to be made for him right now. We'll talk about that around 6:20 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up, this is your cousin.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hunter Biden and his artwork.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my works. What a coward.
The art gallerist apparently claimed that one of Hunter's financial backers purchased most of his paintings for $875,000. What's this? Oh, it's a scribble, but really it's a man walking into his future and seeing his past at the same time.
You are the epitome of white privilege.
They were laundering money, and he had all of his friends coming forward to help him out.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Novi Partners. Rev up your summer on a John Deere compact tractor with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down. Or get 0% financing for 60 months with additional savings. It's time to elevate your equipment game. Don't let this sizzling hot deal slip away. Seidenstricker Novi, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
I've been trying to call.
All right, a likely presidential hopeful, maybe this year, maybe 4 years down the road, I don't know. It's got a big decision to make. Keep his far left supporters happy, and by doing so, hurt his ambitions, or be forced to protect children and parents, even if it's against what he wants to do.
Wow.
They're coming for your kids.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not even like they're here and they're after your kids. I'll explain here in just a second. All right. 314-912-1019. As always, that is this number to get involved. By the way, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez files articles of impeachment against 2 conservatives on the Supreme Court because, of course, she did.
Okay.
We're going to fill you in on that at 6:35. Okay.
Have fun storming the castle.
That's right. All right. Okay. So with the next several days, Gavin Newsom, California governor, has got a big decision on a bill. Basically, it's already passed the assembly. It's on his desk. And by California law, he's got 12 days to decide whether to sign it or veto it. And it was, so basically he's got until like Monday or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. So the bill's been passed by by their assembly.
Right.
The bill would make it illegal, would criminalize anybody at a school from telling parents that their children want to so-called transition.
Whoa, really?
So a child says, I think I'm a girl. Please call me Susie. My parents, wouldn't support this. I'm going to go in the bathroom and change into a dress. Or I'm really struggling with this. And there are several school districts around the state of California that passed, policies that said if a kid is showing signs of any sort of mental illness or any sort of wanting, you notify the parents.
Right.
If a kid says, I want they, them pronouns. Okay. Well, you make sure the parents are looped in on it. It's California. You may have parents go, of course, that's what I've been trying to do since they were born. That's very possibly there, but the state assembly has passed a law that would make it illegal.
Oh my God.
Punishable under law for somebody from a school district to tell a parent that your child is talking about wanting hormones and surgeries and wanting to go by a different name. So the school district would have to, basically, it would require school districts to, by law, help groom children.
Yeah.
for the sexual perversions of these ideologues.
That's what that means.
Right.
I mean, I remember back in the day when it was a red flag, and they talked about this. If you're a kid and an adult wants you to keep a secret from your parents, that's a red flag. Right? You guys remember being taught that? Because I do.
Right.
It's like there's the touching in the no zone, and there's keeping secrets from your parents. Those are one generally leads to the other in the way I was taught. I don't know.
Right.
Have things changed, Mike?
A lot of things have changed. The actual bill is called AB, which in their terminology is Assembly Bill 1955. If you want to look up the stuff like that, okay. It would stop school districts from notifying parents if a student starts using different pronouns or identifies other than their actual biological sex.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So here's it was an overwhelming vote too in the state Senate.
Of course, to pass.
I mean,
this
it
thing.
wasn't even close.
Oh, sure.
It was 60-15. A 4-1 margin.
Oh my gosh.
Of elected officials in the state Senate say that schools should not tell parents when their children are showing signs of a debilitating mental illness.
Yes, the groomer supporters were out in force.
Yes. So here's what's complicated for Gavin Newsom is he wouldn't suffer any consequences electorally in California.
Not in California, no.
He can sign this and still get elected.
He could almost do whatever the heck he wants.
Absolutely.
After that failed recall election, I'm sure he's feeling himself.
He has literally already signed into law a bill that allows the state of California to take custody of children who are trafficked into the state if they run away from home saying that they want to be trans.
That's true. That's real.
So think about it this way. This is how it affects you. And Ron DeSantis just torched him in their debate on this because he had nowhere. He couldn't even come up with an explanation or argument to support it, even in a neutral environment. So if your child is suffering from gender dysphoria, your child is, caught up in the social contagion, your child is dealing with whatever, and they find some pervert online who wants to participate in the grooming, and they can get them into into the actual across the border into California. And all that child's got to do is call some social service agency or something and saying, I'm trans and my parents won't do this. I want my gender affirming stuff. In California now, they say, yep, that parent has no right to come get you now. We are your custodian.
That's crazy.
That's the law there. So that doesn't hurt Gavin Newsom there. But if he is suddenly thrust into being the presidential candidate for the Democrats.
Now all of a sudden he has to appeal to people who are not Californian crazies.
Yeah. Now you got to win over Ohio. Now you got to win over blue collar Democrats in Pennsylvania. Now you've got to win over the suburban and rural Democratic areas in Georgia, and you've got to suddenly make that case because that's exactly what Republicans are going to hit him with over and over and over again. So he can sign the bill, which his history tells us that's what he wants to do.
Sure.
Or he can say, crap, what do I do?
Yeah.
So here's my question, though. This is where the left is right now. I mean, it just is. So Democrats, when occasionally we have some Democrats who call in, we know they're listening, and that's great.
Yeah. Please.
Does this represent your party? I mean, does this type of thing represent what the Democratic Party is or where it should be right now? And if it doesn't, when are you going to stand up and reclaim your party?
Yeah.
314-912-1019.
I've been curious about this a lot. There are a number of, I would consider reasonable Democrats in my circle of friends and family. And I really just want to ask, and I haven't tried this yet, but I really just want to ask, are you happy with the current leadership, the current direction of your party? It's like, are you okay with, and then, pull out, something that some crazy Democrat has been doing. We talk about this stuff every day, and I keep thinking, well, how does the run of the mill Democrat look at this and say, it's okay, we can work with this, because some of it seems so far out of pocket that it defies logic.
Right.
And I know these people are logical, moral people. So if you're one of these reasonable Democrats, and we have a few who listen to us, we've talked to them before.
Yeah,
call us and please help us understand how you're still on board with the Democrat agenda right now.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in college, and for a while I was in college in Warrensburg, which back at the time was a Democratic area, but it was a old-fashioned Democratic area. It was a blue-collar Democrat. They call themselves the Blue Dog Democrats.
Yeah.
Ike Skelton was the congressman before Vicky Hartzler won that race.
Was that Central Missouri State?
Yeah. Well, it used to be back then. It was Central Missouri State. Now it's University of Central Missouri. But but yeah, that's what it was at the time. And you had Democrats all over, but they would never have been part of something this radical and perverse and just gross. They would not have done it. There was a split in the Democratic Party as to whether or not to be pro-abortion or pro-life. I mean, Congressman Ike Skelton, a Democrat, at the time was the senior Democrat in the congressional delegation, was endorsed by both the NRA and Right to Life. You're not going to see that anymore.
No, definitely
not at all.
Those days are over.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, the Democrats have decided they're pro-abortion, all right, or pro-choice. They'll call it pro-choice. Okay, then we have the debate, and either we win or you lose. And the Republicans, frankly, are moving away from life, unfortunately.
Yep.
But is this the next step for the left, for the hard left, for the Democrats? Is that we're going to come for children, and we're going to make it very clear that our gender ideology is going to be in between children and parents and the state, which is what the school district is, the state government and the state, capital S, agents of the state, which would be your public school district, that they are the ones who will decide how these children should be reared.
Yeah, the Overton window here has moved so far to the left. I'm starting to get I'm starting to become of the opinion that there are way too many people who find themselves on the left, and they're generally moderate or who used to be moderate, who are simply moving with the Overton window. That their position within that window of acceptability, which is generated by the media, education, higher education, K-12 schools, all those people, they're the ones who decide where the Overton window is, or at least it seems to be that. And the voters who were otherwise reasonable people at one time, they're just moving with the window and still considering themselves reasonable. That's the impression that I'm getting is happening with the American political left right now.
Right. So this is what the left of the media does not want anybody talking about right now, because the people who are reasonable in the middle are like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
For so many people. I mean, it's one thing for somebody who says, well, you don't want abortion, don't have one, which is a terrible argument. It's not a strong argument at all. It's not a moral argument, but a lot of people say that, well, but it's really difficult to say, well, okay, you don't want to cut off your junk, then, just don't go do it, but let that kid do it. You can't, there's no, if you have a shred of morality, you're not on board with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the world right now. It's hard to fathom.
Yep. All right. Just ahead here, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, expert in all things AOC, has filed articles of impeachment against two of the stalwart conservatives on the Supreme Court.
I wonder why.
She knows better.
Okay.
Because she is smart. I don't normally have guests on over and over and over again. I put a little space between them, but we got Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal because he gives such good assessments on this. And I texted last night. They're like, oh, yeah, we got something to say. So we'll talk to Mike here at 634, 1019-941 News Talk STL.
You don't even have to do too much.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
No matter how big the event, Capriotti's can take care of all of your business or personal catering needs. With party trays, box lunches, a meatball bar, shareable salads, plus desserts and sides. Easy ordering is available via the Capriotti's app. Check it all out at capriottis.com.
Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a two-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Not all policies will qualify. Not available in all states.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define.
Join me every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, AOC decides to take on people who are a lot smarter than she is. This is going to be something.
Well, isn't that what AOC is always doing?
Yeah,
taking on people who are smarter than her.
I mean, unless she decides to play checkers against Cori Bush.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Maxine Waters, maybe.
All right. Flashback Fridays tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Get your 80s bump music requests in today. Yeah. We had, I saw some came in on Rumble. I think you saw those.
I did.
Yeah. So we got those. So email Stel, STEL at newstalkstl.com or me, Mike, MIKE at newstalkstl.com, or send us a note on the social media, chat boxes, comments, anything like that. Because Stel's not going to be here tomorrow. So he's got to get all that stuff put in today. So
that's right.
Today's your deadline.
Yeah.
Whatever your 80s bump music you want, we got to know about it today.
Got to fill out that lineup card.
Were the requests okay so far?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Good?
they've been
All
good
right.
ones,
All right.
including a couple of sleepers that I'd kind of forgotten about.
All right, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Stel never tells me what's going to be in there. I find out when you find out. All right, let's talk impeachment, articles of impeachment. I know when you hear articles of impeachment, what you think of is, all right, they're going to go get Joe Biden. Well, no. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has decided to file articles of impeachment against Supreme Court Justices Alito and Thomas. And here's part of her announcement of that, explaining why she done it.
Everyday Americans, independent of party or ideology, can reasonably conclude that Justices Thomas and Alito's years-long pattern of misconduct and failure to recuse in cases bearing their clear personal and financial involvement represents an abuse of power and threat to our democracy.
All right, Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation. This is a threat to our democracy. Man, we have a lot of those going. You cannot, you got to watch your step. Otherwise, you're going to step in threats to democracy. You got to watch out, wipe your feet so you don't get that all over your carpet.
If we're going to start talking about threats to democracy, I mean, it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they're just ignoring it. I mean, we know what this is. This is several levels. First of all, it's a transparent attempt to change the narrative here, to get people to talk about something other than really the most pressing matter in our country, and that's who is president of the United States right now, who's running the ship. And I think we all know it's certainly not Joe Biden, but there's a whole host of issues associated with that. I think he's meeting with NATO leaders today, and he's supposed to have some big press conference today where they actually use, I can't believe this, gentlemen, they actually use the word big boy press conference. Can you
Oh,
believe
no.
that?
No, they did. Karine Jean-Pierre actually said that.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Unironically.
And it was repeated. It was repeated by the gentleman who's the subsidiary press secretary. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But there are certainly more pressing issues. But this is an effort to just change the narrative on that level. Second, this is an effort this is the latest in a continuing effort to intimidate the U.S. Supreme Court justices, those 6 justices that refuse to go along with the left's radical agenda and just rubber stamp these decisions that come up before them. I think that we've seen this over years now. Once Justices Barrett and Justices Kavanaugh ascended to the court in Gorsuch under the Trump administration, we knew that the left was going to mount this years and years, this unceasing campaign to try to delegitimize the Supreme Court and to intimidate the Supreme Court. This is just the latest in an unending barrage. If they take control of the Senate, if they take control of Congress and Joe Biden is reelected, or whomever is elected, not Donald Trump, this means they're probably going to make efforts to expand the Supreme Court or pack it a la the FDR era. So this is just the latest in an effort to continue to intimidate the justices because they're not doing what they want. I think the Trump immunity case, they didn't get we can talk about the presidential immunity case a little bit, and we've talked about it, but that kind of pushed them over the edge because it just wasn't a complete vindication of the D.C. Circuit, the lower court's ruling, the lower court had held that there was no presidential immunity in a criminal context. The Supreme Court was considerably more nuanced and had a great opinion, Justice Roberts, even though it's been decried from the left. But if you actually look at it, it's a great opinion. I think that kind of pushed the left into apoplexy to engaging into this, actually talking about and filing these articles of impeachment. One other thing, if you look at the people in Congress, the members who are actually sponsoring this, it is the ultimate left. It is not just AOC. I think there's Jamal Bowman who's not going to be serving next year. Rashida Tlaib. I think there's a couple other members who are just the fringe radical element of the left who are actually behind this.
Good morning, Mike. Gabe here. So
hey, Gabe.
just for logistical purposes, does the impeachment of Supreme Court justices mirror the process of impeaching a president, or is it slightly different? How does it work?
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't realize that this is even an option.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same. I believe it's the same. I believe they're going to have a vote, and it won't go anywhere. I think, again, this is just for headlines. It's not going to go anywhere because there's a majority. But for all intents and purposes, it's the same. There's going to be a vote in the House of Representatives, and if there's a majority, then it would go over for a trial in the Senate, just like we know. But what I think, gentlemen, is there's the other issue is the kind of the devaluing, the minimization of the impeachment process. And I think impeachment should be used rarely, right? Because remember back when Clinton was president, and I don't know if I've talked about this with you before, when Bill Clinton was president and he was impeached, it was a really big deal. The whole country was riveted. Everybody was focusing on it. It was something that wasn't done easily. And now I just think that it's just been weaponized, just like so many other things in our country. It's just been weaponized to the point where it doesn't even really seem to be taken seriously with the necessary gravitas that it really is. I mean, I think that I think you could make a case, and again, I've talked about the 25th Amendment with Joe Biden. I think there's a case that he's non-compos mentis. Not a case. I think it's obvious that he's not fit to be in office of the presidency right now. But I think what happens is when you have impeachment for all of these other things, it just devalues the entire process. And it kind of just minimizes it in the eyes of the American people. It politicizes it, which I don't think it was ever really intended to do.
Yeah, I think we mentioned, I don't remember if it was this week or last week, just through the discussion, I think every president from here on out is going to have somebody file an articles of impeachment against him. I mean, it's going to happen with every president, no matter what, because I think we've devalued it that much. We're visiting with Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation. Okay, let's talk about what she's arguing here. Part of what she's arguing is, for instance, with Clarence Thomas. He's accepted, vacations and trips and gifts, and he's compromised because he has basically has a bunch of rich friends, and a lot of them are Republican donors. So let's talk about if there are actually any merits to consider. We all know that AOC is not a serious person, but if we get down to what she's actually alleging, is there anything to it?
Well, I think the easy answer is no, because I think, yes, I'm going to acknowledge, I'm not going to sit here and be dishonest. I'm going to acknowledge that Justice Thomas has received significant gifts. There's trips and then there's planes, but it's really not out of the realm of normality. If you look at Justice Sotomayor, there's a book deal where she had law schools purchasing bulk orders of her books. So she received a pecuniary benefit from there. So I think that's only half, that's not, I don't think there's anything illicit or improper per se in receiving gifts. Supreme Court justices don't really get paid a lot. They could be partners at law firms making millions of dollars a year. So there is that. But there's the other side of it, is whether there's that quid pro quo, whether there's any kind of expectation of some sort of preferential treatment or any kind of ruling, or there's two sides of it. You accept it and then you do something in regards. You do something you wouldn't normally do because of what you've received. And that there's absolutely zero evidence of any of that. There is no quid pro quo with any of this stuff. I mean, Justice Thomas, it's really, he's a brilliant jurist, and his judicial philosophy has remained incredibly consistent over the decades. I mean, he has a long record on the Supreme Court, and you see the same exact threads running through his opinions from the 1990s as you do through the 2000s, through the 2010s, into the 2020s. He's remained incredibly consistent. He is not moved or intimidated by any outside presence, to his credit, and he believes exactly what he believed the day he sat down on that Supreme Court, and he's remained entirely consistent. There is no conflict. In other words, there is no quid pro quo in any of his decisions.
Good morning, Mike Stalpontikas here. Here's the thought that I've got, because I think there's something more to this AOC tactic than just what we see on the surface. Because if Trump gets back into the White House, the left knows that there will be one or two more Supreme Court appointments probably over the next 4 years. And I think that terrifies them. And that will even push the court further to a conservative leaning. Your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. Yes, that is a great observation. They have ever since, I mean, you can go back to it, but I think really the one we can point to is when they reversed Planned Parenthood versus Casey and Roe versus Wade. That kind of was remember there was the leak, and then there was all those efforts. You had the crazy guy showing up at Brett Kavanaugh's house. You saw Senator Schumer saying, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, you'll reap the whirlwind. So there's just been this increasing efforts to intimidate and unduly influence the justices of the United States Supreme Court. There's kind of, it's funny because there's kind of the institutional efforts, which is just the press and the Washington D.C. kind of scene, which the soft power attempts to move justices who might be more conservative, more towards whatever you want to say, the middle or the left. And you've seen that in the past with other Supreme Court justices. There's that institutional pressure that's put on them, of course. Then there's that outside pressure, which is which is these actual threats from members of Congress, which stir up individuals. You see these impeachment efforts. You see this increasingly angry rhetoric directed at the justices. And I don't think obviously Alito, Thomas are beyond any kind of, those kind of tactics aren't working, certainly not, which is to their credit. But I think it's dangerous because you just see this increasing rhetoric. And again, you just saw just the other day, I think with Sotomayor, there was I don't know the details specifically, but an individual tried to carjack one of her security members. So there's very dangerous threats these justices are under. So, I mean, we all have to be very careful with this rhetoric and these efforts to intimidate justices of the Supreme Court. It's a very dangerous road to be on.
All right, we're visiting Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation. Once again, I mentioned a little bit ago, I said normally, we have guests who come on a fairly regular basis, and you're my go-to guy when it comes to anything with the judicial process. But man, Mike, we've needed your expertise quite a bit lately, a lot more than I
know. It's crazy times. It's funny because we keep saying that oh, this isn't going to happen. Oh, we're not going to go there. And then lo and behold, weeks later, we end up being wherever we thought we wouldn't be. It's interesting.
The public relations professional that Mike works with is Audrey, and Audrey and I worked together years and years ago when we both worked for former Congressman Bob Barr. And so I'll text her. I'm like, hey, sorry to bug you again. What's Mike doing tomorrow morning?
Not a problem. I always love being on with you guys. You're great.
All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. Once again, landmarklegal.com or .org? .org. And we've tagged you on social media as well. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, Mike.
Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks a lot. Mike O'Neill, Landmark Legal Foundation.
He said we're great. I think Mike's great too.
He is. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I texted Audrey last night. I'm like, I know we just had him on, but AOC is being all AOC like.
He's our go-to, and he's an expert at all these things. So it's awesome to be able to talk to him.
And when the people who are in the belly of the beast and they don't get run over by it, that's Mike.
Oh yeah.
Mike and Grover Norquist. Grover does it, and so there's a lot of people like that are there, but not getting bowled over there. All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. What's going to be funny is all the media trying to make AOC sound like a scholar when they're covering the issue. And surprisingly, I did not see Cori Bush on that co-sponsors list.
Really?
I did not. I really expected to see it, but I didn't see her name.
Wow. Maybe she was absent that day.
Must have been.
She was ducking from the white supremacist shooting
That's
from
right.
the hill.
That's right. Yes. Fighting the Jewish lobby, which, sure, anti-Semitic nonsense. Yeah.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Is that how it goes?
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Well, I might be rusted, brother, I'm here to stay. Is it time to shed our weapons yet, my friend? Is it love we've thrown away, not groundless slow?
In the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right. The U.S. House passes a bill that says states must make sure only citizens are voting in our elections, and a lot of Democrats are upset by that.
Of course, they are.
President Biden explains part of the reason prices are so high on daily necessities.
Oh, he's telling us why.
Going to clear that up for you here.
Oh,
in just a second.
so it's not inflation.
No.
Oh, I guess me and all these other
we're going to tell you why the inflation's happening. At least part of it.
Okay. So he's got explanations.
Yes, and the Cardinals, had a rough day at the office.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, here we go. The U.S. House passing the SAVE Act on Wednesday. Now, that would, if signed into law, would require proof of citizenship for voter registration. Senator Ted Cruz was on Hannity last night, pointing to a lot of the Democrats who opposed it, trying to guess why they would oppose something that simple.
The 11.5 million illegal aliens that Joe Biden and the Democrats have let in, they want them to vote because they think and believe they will vote for Democrats.
Okay, the House passed the legislation 221 to 198. So there were 198 Democrats who opposed a bill that says let's make sure that only citizens are voting in U.S. elections, in federal elections.
I'm really interested to talk to Bill Pascoe from the Tea Party Patriots Action. We're going to talk to him a little later on exactly what's going on there with that thing.
Exactly. All right. After a private foundation pays for a recruiting campaign, St. Louis City Police see an uptick in applications to become officers in the city. The St. Louis Police Foundation funded the 2-month campaign for May and for June, and over 120 applications came in. And a few officers who had left for other places expressed interest in possibly coming back.
Really?
Now, that's twice the 120 applications over that 2-month period, so averaging 60 a month. That's about twice what they normally get in applications.
Okay.
Now, those applications are still being vetted, so not all of those 120 whatever are going to end up in the academy or on the streets, but it's a higher than usual number of applications.
Now, it sounds like a bump based on a marketing campaign.
Right. That's correct.
So, I wouldn't take that as we're coming back kind of thing.
Right. And of course, the police, and a lot of media reporting, hey, there's been a real uptick because of this campaign. But I thought it was interesting, and we could talk about a little more depth later. The city did not pay for that marketing campaign. No taxpayer dollars were involved in that.
Really?
A private foundation said, we got to do something, and they paid for the marketing campaign.
Oh my gosh. Of course the city didn't.
Right.
Because why would the city want more police? They've been advocating all the policies that have been driving our police away in the first place.
Precisely. The department is still short of about 300 officers based on the size of the city and what there should be in the ranks. So they're still short literally like 300. All right. President Biden was delivering remarks to union leaders at an AFL-CIO conference on Wednesday. Says that he and his administration are making strong progress in improving the economy, but says they've got more work to do in another term. And he's explaining why some of our daily necessities are more expensive now than they were before. So he's going to clear this up for us, Gabe. Listen carefully.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm on pins and needles here.
Okay. Right off the bat here. Here's why.
Food prices are still too high because of corporate greed. We're in a situation where rents are too high. We need more housing. A whole range of things we're going to get done with your help in the second term, because that's what we got to get done.
Yeah. See, it's corporate greed.
Oh, it's the business
Corporate
people's
greed,
fault.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when prices are low, that's corporate benevolence. I mean, I'm just curious, because if it works in one way, it's got to work in the other, right?
Yeah, because that would make sense.
Yeah. So so businesses were friendlier under Trump.
Right.
They were in a good mood. The dragons were appeased.
Yes. Corporate greed now.
It's the corporation.
That's what it is.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Speaking of financial issues, I don't know if you guys noticed, gas went up 30 to 40 cents a gallon in the last 24 hours.
Oh, just like that.
Oh yeah. I saw
big blip.
Places that I was passing 309, 349 last night.
Well, crap. I'm going to have to fill up next couple days. I'm a little under half a tank right now. I didn't even notice.
What's funny driving in the morning is sometimes I will see the numbers change. I'll be on the highway and I'll see it's like, whoop, and all of a sudden, no, dang it.
Oh, geez. All right. Let's see here. Now, this is interesting here. I know it's less newsy, but it's just really cool. Window World, obviously one of our partners here, they are raising money for a great nonprofit, and your home could get a complete makeover in the process.
Whoa.
Okay, here's what's going on. They are auctioning off a $45,000 home renovation.
Wow.
This includes 15 of their great windows that I talk about all the time. It includes a lot of insulated siding, gutters, oversized downspouts, and a front door entry system, among other things.
Nice.
That's all part of the package. I mean, the stuff, the products, the labor, valued it up to $45,000. Bidding is open to anyone in the St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, Missouri, Springfield, Illinois, and Peoria, Illinois areas. Proceeds benefit Action for Autism, which supports children with autism and their families. Learn more, or you can bid at windowworldkansascity.com. Bids are accepted through July 18th. I did put the link to the page on that in the chat box, in the Rumble chat box.
Nice.
Cardinals had a doubleheader against the Royals yesterday at Busch, lost both games.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch and bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830. hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-537-3908. 800-537-3908. 800-537-3908. That's 800-537-3908.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. Anna Thomason. President Biden goes before the press later today, a rare solo news conference, as questions persist about his mental acuity. Those questions prompting more Democrats to urge Mr. Biden to quit the White House race. A Republican election integrity bill has cleared the House with only a handful of Democrats voting yes. 198 Democrats oppose the bill, requiring proof of citizenship in order to vote. More than 1 million utility customers in and around Houston still powerless this morning following Hurricane Beryl. But Senator Ted Cruz says electric utility
CenterPoint has committed to having 11,500 linemen coming in from all across Texas and from other adjoining states to be out there right now repairing the work. And I know there are a lot of people that are facing the heat, facing difficulties feeding their families. And we need to make sure that moves as expeditiously as possible.
That's crucial because without power, there's no AC in the midst of dangerously high temperatures and humidity. The government's latest inflation updates soon to be released.
Economists surveyed by the data firm FactSet predict that consumer prices increased just 0.1% from May to June. And measured from a year earlier, they believe inflation for June was 3.1%, down from 3.3% in May. On Wednesday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said there's been considerable progress in slowing inflation to the central bank's 2% target. But he also said more good data is needed for Fed officials to gain the confidence they need to cut their key interest rate that's now at a 2-decade high of 5.3%. Donna Warder, Washington.
And Dow futures are down 76 points and NASDAQ futures off 15. More on these stories at townhall.com.
See, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. And maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true people are way more satisfied after making the switch too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. See what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE, 844-40.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. With the average funeral bill being over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Call 314-866-8886 or memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Almost 200 Democrats opposed a bill that would require non-citizens to be vetted out of the voting process.
I think that says everything right there.
198 of them.
Wow.
Just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's something that even Washington, D.C. comes up with that you should be able to go, oh, yeah, okay. That's fine. Just do this one and let's move on to the other stuff.
Yeah.
198 of them said, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah. And made impassioned speeches, some of them, about
it. All right. Hey, don't forget, News Talk STL. We've got the app. It is free. Find it on any app store, and you can take us with you wherever you go. So check that out. Joined now by Bill Pascoe from Tea Party Patriots Action. And Bill, hey, appreciate you being on the program here. We're going to get to like what was actually passed by the U.S. House, because I think the chances of this getting through the U.S. Senate are not good. Let's just put it that way. But 198 Democrats organized. They were literally whipping votes to try to stop this bill. And you think about it, it only passed by 14 votes in the U.S. House. But literally what we were talking about is a law that says states, you must require proof of citizenship in order to be on the voter rolls, at least for the federal elections. Am I missing something that's very nuanced or detailed that would give somebody pause, or is it really that cut and dry?
No, it really is that simple, Mike. This is since 1993. We've had a law on the books, the National Voter Registration Act, also known as the Motor Voter Law. And what that law did was, look, Democrats back in 1993, they, for the first time in 12 years, they had the White House, right? They'd had 8 years of Reagan and 4 years of Bush. And then Bill Clinton came into power. And the Democrats had control of the House and they had control of the Senate. And for the first time in 12 years, they had the White House. So they had a lot of legislation backed up that they'd been hoping to bring to the floor of the House and the Senate. And they brought this bill that the aim was to register everybody in the country. And the way they were going to do that was say anybody who comes in contact with a government agency, whether it's the Division of Motor Vehicles or a welfare agency, or if you're going to get Social Security, Medicare, whatever, anytime you touch a government agency, somebody at that government agency should ask you, are you registered to vote? Let me help you register to vote. Here's a form so that you can register to vote. So even if you woke up on a Tuesday morning and you decided, I got to go renew my driver's license, guess what? They were going to find out if you were registered and help you register if you weren't registered. So as I said, the idea was, let's get everybody registered, and we're going to do it this way. And they started, the very first question on the form that they created asks, are you a U.S. citizen? Because that's the first requirement to be registered to vote, is you have to be a citizen. So they ask a question, are you a U.S. citizen? Check a box, yes or no. That's it. You don't have to show that you're a U.S. citizen. You don't have to give them a passport. You don't have to give them a birth certificate. No documentary proof is required. And believe it or not, when some states years later tried to maintain or ensure the integrity of their own voter rolls by saying, hey, if you're going to register to vote in our state, we want documentary proof, they passed state laws. And they were challenged. And those state laws went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court at the time said, you know what? The federal law is supreme, and the federal law does not require that. So even in what I would say is an upside down move, the Supreme Court back then ruled, because the federal law does not require it, therefore no state can require it. And they struck down the state law, I believe it was Arizona, that had tried to tighten up the process by requiring proof of citizenship. So what this bill does is very simple. It says it's not enough to simply have somebody attest to the fact that they're a citizen. They have to prove that they're a citizen. Because right now, people are voting. One of the ways that you can tell, and when I say people are voting, I mean non-citizens are voting. It's a problem. One of the ways that you can tell that a speaker is actually very, very interested in the passage of a piece of legislation is, first, does he speak on the floor in advance of the vote on the bill? It happens very rarely. The speaker is involved in running the operation. Very rarely does he actually speak on a topic. But Speaker Johnson spoke on Wednesday. He spoke for about 10 minutes on the floor, talking about how important this legislation was. The second thing he did, and I have never seen a speaker do this, and I've been working in Washington professionally for more than 40 years now, I've never seen a speaker on a single piece of legislation put out a background paper, a white paper. There's a 22-page paper that's available to the public that has background information on this. That came out of the speaker's office. And one of the points that was made in the speaker's background paper is, even though the Democrats will deny until their last breath that illegal aliens are voting in American elections, because that would be to acknowledge that, maybe there might be a need for such legislation. No. They will deny that non-citizen voting is taking place. And yet it is the case that, every 2 years you reintroduce the base bills that you want to pass because you didn't get them passed last time, or maybe you passed them through the House, but you didn't get them passed through the Senate. So you're going to reintroduce it this year. Well, for about 20 years now, the Democrats have had a base bill that's an amnesty bill. It provides amnesty for all the illegal aliens who are here in the country. And one of the provisions of their basic amnesty bill is a provision that changes a provision in current law. Under current law, it's illegal for a non-citizen to vote in a federal election. And if you get caught as a non-citizen voting in a federal election, if you get caught breaking that law, that then becomes grounds for inadmissibility, which means they will deport you and you cannot come back to the United States. So the amnesty bill that the Democrats introduce every 2 years contains a provision that says we're going to strike that other provision out of the current U.S. law. We're going to remove illegal voting as one of the grounds for inadmissibility. Well, wait a minute. Why would you need to do that unless you intend to make people citizens who you acknowledge have been voting illegally up to now? If they hadn't been voting illegally, you don't need to remove that as a ground for inadmissibility. Anyway, it was a big deal. And as you guys have pointed out, 198 Democrats cast votes against this, which I just find remarkable. And that was one of the reasons that it was important to hold the vote. Now, a lot of people said, well, what's the point of having this vote? It's not going to go anywhere in the Senate. And even if it did go somewhere in the Senate, Joe Biden is certainly not going to sign it into law. He's going to veto this bill. Well, we're talking about one of the reasons, because we've now identified, because we held the vote in the House, we've now identified there are 198 Democrats who don't think it's important to require people to provide documentary proof of citizenship before they are allowed to register to vote.
Morning, Bill. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I'm going to play devil's advocate just really quickly, just because I always do this with myself. We've seen bills, come through the House that have ostensibly a positive goal or something in it, but there's a poison pill. And, it's basically the point is to get the opposition to vote against something that should sound reasonable. Is there a poison pill in this bill, or is it simply stating that illegal aliens shouldn't vote?
No. It doesn't say illegal aliens shouldn't vote. That's already against the law. And and Gabe, that's the way that the left attacked this. They said, well, we're just wasting time here because it's already against the law to vote. Wait a second, guys. Read the legislation. It doesn't say it's illegal to vote if you're a non-citizen. That's already against the law. You're right. That would be a waste of time. What this bill does is add a new requirement. It's not enough any longer. If this bill becomes law, you will have to do more than simply check a box and sign your name saying you are a citizen of the United States. You guys are the show me state.
Mm-hmm.
This is the bill for you. This requires an individual to show that he is a citizen of the United States before he can be allowed to register to vote. No poison pills, but it's very simple. We're going to raise the threshold. No longer do we just accept somebody's word, because guess what? Somebody who's here illegally has already demonstrated they're willing to break our laws. Why would we trust that they wouldn't break another law? And the problem is, and the reason that we need this now, in fact, is because we've seen more illegal aliens enter our country in the last 3.5 years than have ever entered the country in any previous 3.5 year period. We've got somewhere just in the last 3.5 years, using the U.S. government's own numbers, we've got somewhere between 6 and 8 million illegal aliens who have been added to the population of illegal aliens. I have absolutely no doubt that not all of them will register illegally and vote illegally. But if I'm a Democrat and I'm looking to win a close election, I don't need all of them. Stop and think about we've had 2 presidential elections in a row here that have been decided in 3 states by a total in both elections. If you add up all the outstanding votes that were necessary to win, we're talking about 77,000 votes in 2016 And we're talking about 44,000 votes in 2020. So we're talking about roughly 120,000 votes in 2 elections spread across the country. Well, if you do the math, almost 10 million illegal aliens added in just the last 3.5 years, because we didn't talk about the known gotaways. So if you figure 10 million, 1% of 10 million is 100,000 votes right there. If 1% of the illegal aliens who have come into the country over the last 3.5 years were to illegally register and then vote, that could be enough to sway the outcome of the presidential election. That's a significant problem. Let's tighten up the voter rolls. Let's make it more difficult. This isn't going to make it impossible. Keep that in mind. There will always be those who are determined to cheat, and they will find a way to do it. But let's make it a little more difficult than just signing your name to a piece of paper, shall we? Let's at least require proof of citizenship. Is that asking too much? I don't think so.
Good morning, Bill. Stal Ponticus here. Short question for you. Why are the 2 words voter integrity so terrifying to the left?
I think that's a great question. And I think that should tell us a lot about our political leaders when you're right. It's like holding a cross in front of a vampire. They shrink. They just shrink into the corner. No, voter integrity. No, election integrity. No. You can draw your own conclusion. I don't want to be ugly this morning. My mom taught me never to be ugly before 9 o'clock.
Well, I might ask you an ugly question here. Speaker Mike Johnson had a statement about this, and at the end of it, he said, House Republicans believe that only Americans should vote in American elections. House Democrats have now proven they believe that illegal aliens should vote in American elections. And this is what I found, among many other very interesting posts in a hashtag treason, which was trending on Twitter right now. And I'm just wondering, is treason hyperbole? I mean, is it actually going too far in this case, or is there a case to be made for it if you're going to import votes and then ensure that they can vote?
Well, you know what it is? It's foreign election interference. I mean, this is one of the things that the founders were so terribly scared of. They were worried at the birth of the Republic. They were terribly worried that European powers, in particular England and France, who were the dominant European powers at the time, they were worried that the European powers would come mess around inside American politics, that European powers would be buying off American politicians. They were worried that one of the ways that they would do this is by paying people for their votes. And you remember when the Republic was founded, the franchise was more limited, obviously. There was an entire group of people who, by simply the color of their skin, they were not allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to be citizens. They weren't deemed citizens. They didn't have the legal protection of citizenship. But women couldn't vote. Other people couldn't vote. So only, in many states, in my state, in Virginia, you had to be a landowner to be allowed to vote. We've since expanded the franchise, but we have always insisted that only citizens vote. And there's a reason for that. We are a republic. Think of it this way. In New England, you have these small towns where everybody votes. They all show up for a town meeting, and everybody votes on matters of public policy. And that's actual direct democracy. That's what we would have if we were a small enough country. If you have 10 people in a room and you want to vote by, you give everybody the vote. Everybody gets an equal say. 10 people get to make the decision. You can't do that when you got 330 million people. So we're not a democracy. We are a republic. We elect people who then represent us. But if we were small enough, everybody who we decided to would be allowed to vote. And the first test would be, are you a citizen? Well, because so only citizens would get to vote. There may be other people who live with us. There may be foreigners. We have long-term permanent residents. We have green card holders. We have people who are here on visas. We have students who come from overseas. We have people who work for a time. They're foreign citizens and they have a work visa. We have all kinds of people who live among us who are not citizens, but we don't allow them to vote because that would be allowing foreign interference. What this bill tries to cut down on is the prospect that some of them might inadvertently, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. There are an awful lot of people who go to the DMV to get a driver's license. There are many states now that allow non-citizens to get a driver's license. You don't have to be a citizen to get a driver's license. If they show up, even somebody who's got a green card may go to the DMV to get a driver's license and may be given this registration form because of that 1993 law. And the worker at the DMV doesn't stop to think, hey, are you a citizen or not? Because guess what? They're not allowed to ask. Under current law, they're not even allowed to ask, are you a citizen? Not only are they not required to obtain proof that somebody is a citizen, they're not allowed to ask if they're a citizen. That's just nuts.
Yep.
That's just craziness.
And here in the St. Louis area on the Illinois side, now there's a brand new law that does grant full driver's license to illegal immigrants in the state. And it's literally part of that law right there. All right, Bill Pascoe, Tea Party Patriots Action. People want to find out what you all are up to, what you're doing, what's the way to do it, website, social media, anything like that?
Website is teapartypatriots.org, and you can find us on all social media. Teapartypatriots.org is the website, and the call to action this week, well, I guess it's now going to be call your House member and thank them if they voted for the SAVE Act.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Good to talk to you.
Good to be with you guys.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, just ahead here, St. Louis City definitely needs more police officers.
Yes.
City Hall doesn't care enough to try to find them, so somebody else stepped up.
Yeah.
I'll give you the update on that just ahead here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. Inspiration.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
All at once depart destination, making cold my heart to fight your
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to you.
News, analysis, opinion.
Well, what are you talking about? You're the morals man alley cat. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump? I really don't know what he said at the end of this. And I don't think he knows what he said either.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one.
For conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
A little bit ago, I told you that Window World is going to be giving away a home renovation project worth up to $45,000. And all the proceeds of that auction are going to go to benefit Action for Autism, because this is who they are. They are passionate about helping these young children and their families. It's just a good group of people to work with. I love working with Window World. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. Part of what they are giving away, or that package includes 15 of their double strength glass windows custom for that home. Learn more about this at 314-993-1800. By the way, if you're interested in bidding on that, go to the Rumble chat box right now, and you'll find that I put that link in there as well. But otherwise, it's time to look around your house and say, what do we need to invest in? Don't wait until it is in the middle of winter and go, oh man, that is drafty. I need to get some new windows, because that's a whole different process at that point. Have Window World come out, give you a free in-home estimate by calling them at 314-993-1800. By the way, they have 0% financing plans of up to 36 months at this point, so it's even easier, in addition to the windows being less expensive and double strength. So they'll come out, they will give you the bid, they will answer your questions, they will show you the product. I mean, these windows are so strong. I have literally stood on top of these windows, and they didn't so much as creak or crack or anything. By the way, if you want to see that, go to News Talk STL social media, Rumble, YouTube, whatever. The video of me doing that is on there. These are very strong windows. These are energy efficient windows. They exceed all of the current Energy Star ratings requirements. They are that far ahead of their time, and they're less expensive, and they're made in the United States, and they come with a lifetime warranty as well. This is just a good group of people to do business with. One, because their products are so good. Secondly, because they stand behind them. Thirdly, because they are part of the St. Louis community. They have been in business here for over 20 years. Over 70,000 homes have Window World windows in them right here in St. Louis alone. So tell them Mike was talking about them on the radio, and they'll come out, give you their bid, then leave you alone. They're going to try to be in and out in about 45 minutes, and then it's all on your time because that's how they want to be treated, and that's how they're going to treat you. 314-993-1800. Once again, remember this number. Give them a call. 314-993-1800. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, just ahead here, is the game changer and campaign ender in the works for Joe Biden? We're going to pick up that conversation at 7:35, guys.
Yep.
Okay. St. Louis City needs more police officers. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that.
Yeah.
The far left people who run the city don't know that. But there was a marketing campaign that was put out in order to find new police officers or new applicants to be police officers. It was run in May and June.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually doubled the number of applications that you normally get with that marketing campaign.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good idea, and it sounds like it was effective.
Yes, it looks that way. I mean, over the course of those 2 months, they had over 120 applicants, which is, like I said, double what they normally get. Now, keep in mind, not all of those are going to become police officers. They're vetting those applicants.
Sure. And you need to.
Yeah. So, but still, it's a funnel. You get, as big of a number of qualified applicants, and then you vet out the ones who aren't going to be the right fit, and then you try to hire the best ones. But here's the thing. I noticed in all the news stories about this, and there was like a couple small lines, so it wasn't that big of a deal to other media, but I happened to notice the city didn't pay for this. There's a private foundation called the St. Louis Police Foundation, nonprofit group. They actually paid for the marketing. The city didn't do it. I mean, one of the news articles I read on it said very clearly there were no taxpayer dollars spent on the campaign. Now, I don't know who was writing that was thinking, hey, we're showing that they didn't waste any taxpayer money. This is actually a good use of taxpayer money.
If they did it.
Yeah, because they're down 300 officers.
Right.
And so when
it shows.
Yeah. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, wait a minute. So a private foundation finally said, we have got to find more police officers for the city. We're going to market your website. We're going to market your recruiting site, and we're going to pay for it. And so somebody in the private sector had to come do this because City Hall isn't doing it. It's not in the budget, at least not to the level that they need it to be. I'm sure there's something in there for some kind of marketing or outreach or something like that, but it's clearly not enough. So the private sector has to step up and say, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it.
Well, and I can almost guarantee you that whatever they do have in their budget for marketing and things like that is not being used for recruitment. It's being used to tout their bona fides on, during Pride Month or maybe recruiting counselors for their
the social workers,
social workers for their interventions. But look, I really, really wish that governments to whom I pay money or at the very least have a vested interest would actually use that money in a way that makes sense. But so often it seems like it falls on private individuals, private organizations to do the work that the government should be doing.
Yeah.
And it's a sad reality that, that we've got representation, we've got our taxation, but we have no outcomes to show for either.
Yeah, exactly. All right. 314-912-1019. Just ahead, that there are a certain number of Democrats in the House who are saying, hey, President Biden, time to retire, time to ride off into the sunset. And like I've said many, many, many times, if you've lost George Clooney, you've lost America. Just saying, he's on board. But there is one Democrat who is a massive heavyweight in politics, and it looks like he may be close to bailing on the president as well. This could be the game changer for him. I'll tell you who that is at 7:34.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
John Beal knows that new roofing companies can look big and trustworthy on the internet, but the fact is 96% of new roofing companies go out of business within the first 5 years. John Beal has a reputation for excellence, reliability, plus lowest cost, best roof, best guarantee. Those here today, gone tomorrow roofers, they can't match John Beal. For home or business, trust my friend John. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Democrats love crying out. Conservatives want a convicted felon in the White House. It is a fact. Donald Trump is a convicted felon based on that sham New York trial. But let's stop for a moment and remember something else. Currently, there is already a convicted felon in the White House, Hunter Biden, convicted on felony gun charges. But of course, Trump haters want to ignore that little fact. I have another issue. Hunter is apparently unofficially serving as chief of staff. Even White House insiders are amazed that he's in so many meetings that Daddy might be holding, maybe even directing Daddy what to say, what to do. Now, this is a direct national security issue. You doubt me? Riddle me this. If you were a convicted felon, would you get a national security clearance, be allowed to hear conversations or see paperwork between the president and leaders of other nations? Huh? So does Hunter have a security clearance? We know the answer. I raise this because the leftists will raise it when Trump is in office. Their cries will be loud and often. He's a convicted felon. He can't be security cleared. And they'll be hypocritical.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit STLFenceworks.com today.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Dr. Tolbert, Missouri is looking to execute an inmate diagnosed with heart failure. Attorneys are requesting that he not be executed because of that condition.
Boy, I scratch my head on this one. Someone, maybe he read some inside information about how to avoid execution by getting heart failure, and he started adding extra salt to his hamburger. I don't know.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michaels to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michaels. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington may be getting squeamish about the Biden campaign. This could be the game changer for the president.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once I tell you who this is,
okay,
you're going to be, I think, surprised.
Okay.
By the way, Military Appreciation Night returns to the ballpark at Busch Stadium on July 26th, which is a Friday. With the purchase of a special theme ticket, you're going to get an exclusive military-themed Cardinals jersey presented by Bally Sports. For details, just visit cardinals.com/theme. All right, we know about the different House members who are saying publicly, Mr. President, time to step aside. We also know about the big meeting with a bunch of House Democrats earlier this week about what to do about this, because now a majority of the country, according to multiple surveys, say the lowest I've seen is 56%, say that Joe Biden should leave office.
Oh, wow.
Not just not run again,
mm-hmm.
but his cognitive situation is painfully obvious to the entire country.
Give up the wheels. They're trying to take the keys from grandpa.
Basically, yeah. So now we know, and we've got reports from, among others, Axios, not exactly friendly to Republicans or conservatives, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they are reporting, and I found this at Newsmax, actually, that Chuck Schumer is now talking with donors about dumping Joe Biden.
Whoa.
If Chuck Schumer is won over to the idea that there has to be somebody else leading that party, I think that is probably game, set, match for the campaign, at least. Chuck Schumer is among the top 1, 2, 3 gatekeepers for all things Democratic in this country, but particularly in the swamp in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, we were joking about, if you've lost George Clooney, you've lost, you've lost the Democratic Party. But
America.
You've lost America.
You're right. I'm sorry.
If you've lost George Clooney, you've lost America.
You've lost
game.
all of America. You're right. That's what we were saying.
He's so dreamy.
Oh, Dr. McDreamy. No, that's a different guy. But in regards to Chuck Schumer, yes, absolutely. Yeah. He is one of the gatekeepers. So losing him publicly, I think you'd lose him privately first before he comes out to talk about it. That seems to be the way he generally operates. So as much as this conversation, which I think this type of conversation used to be a backroom thing, has now come to the public, I do think if something happens and Chuck Schumer comes out publicly against the Biden administration's candidacy, man, it's already done. It's been done.
Yeah. Here's Michael, part of Michael Katz's report at Newsmax, and he's relying on reporting again from the left. From Axios. I'm just reading here. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer reportedly is signaling to donors privately that he's open to replacing President Joe Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket for November's election. Now, keep in mind, Chuck Schumer has been among the most vocal defenders of Joe Biden. And this is what's interesting to me. Now, he hasn't had a public statement yet. And if it were just, that was
me. I'm sorry.
Okay. If this were just, the rumor mill out there, which to some degree it is, I wouldn't even be reporting on it, because we know that, frankly, the Trump campaign and the Republicans definitely want this to be ginned up more. But you've got reporting coming from recognized news outlets that are left of center. And so that's why I think it looks like there's something to do with this. And I also want to point out, guys, and I'll get your reaction to this. a lot of media is trying to write this up and try to say, well, it's because he had a bad debate performance. It's not because he had a bad debate performance.
No, we've seen when individuals of all stripes have bad debate performances in contrast to the way they otherwise do. A bad debate performance is usually, they look a little nervous. Their interruptions are kind of disruptive to the whole proceedings. Maybe they come off a little angry. Maybe their answers are not quite as coherent as they'd like them to be, but none of them ever look the way Joe Biden looked during that debate.
That bad debate performance was confirmation of what's really happening.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't about the debate performance. He could have given horribly stupid answers to every single question, but looked like he was with it.
Yeah. Like Gavin Newsom.
Right. Well, that's a good example, actually. Gavin Newsom gave horrible answers in his debate where he got slaughtered by Ron DeSantis. He gave answers that I don't agree with at all. But he was able to defend his answers with terrible logic, with terrible citations, with terrible morals, with terrible ethics. But he was able to put together a coherent thought. He was just wrong and bad about everything. Joe Biden didn't know where he was, and that was painfully obvious, not just to people who watched it, because as it's been reported, there was a big number of people watching the debate, but overall, it was not a huge portion of the population, but it has lived on social media and reached a huge portion of the population where people are looking at the president of the United States looking completely glass-eyed and empty and had no idea where he was. And then, like I said, that kill shot's when Donald Trump looks over and he goes, I don't know what he just said at the end. I don't think he knows what he just said.
That was it.
That was the kill shot.
You can go back and let's saunter back a little bit, a few years, to what happened to Bernie Sanders. And this party, the Democratic Party, has the ability to move people out at the top that they don't want in there. And Bernie was definitely at the top when he was eased out of it. And who knows what went on behind the scenes.
You're talking in 2016.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would have been him and Hillary.
Right.
Who knows what went on behind the scenes, like you said, Gabe, the backroom dealings. And Republicans do backdoor stuff for years, but Democrats have that tradition of doing the smoke-filled backroom dealings going back to LBJ and JFK and even further back than that.
Go to Truman.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly.
So I think Schumer probably has been spoken to by Axelrod and Carville and both Clintons and both Obamas. And I think they've probably come to a consensus that, okay, Chucky, if you're going to be on board here, then you need to come out and actually declare where you stand. And if that's the case, then, the things are going to change here in the next few days.
I think even more so than the big, political names that we know, the people who've been talking to Chuck Schumer have probably been the big money donors that we never know the names of.
Right.
The people who bankroll all of the Democrats and who have always bankrolled the Democrats. It's like that. Well, like that headline said, Biden's reported losing
billions bailing on Biden.
Billionaires bailing on Biden. Look, it's one thing if you have all kinds of political support. It's like, oh, this guy's, and this guy endorsed me and this. But if you don't have money to run a campaign, you don't have a campaign.
Right. Yeah. Money talks and something else walks is the common phrase.
Yes.
And should money be running our politics? Absolutely not. I don't like that any more than anybody else does, but that's the reality that we have right now. There's somebody running for, I was reading a news report on one of the Missouri races. And it's like, meet these candidates for this particular office. Here's the person. Here's their background. Here's how much money they have on hand. And one of them for a statewide office had less than $500.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, this person happens to be an idiot, which I'm sure is related. But at the same time, I'm like, even if they weren't, I mean, I'm not taking their campaign seriously. They have no mechanism to get their message out to anybody. But in this case right now, Chuck Schumer has been loyal to Joe Biden. But Chuck Schumer is loyal to the Democratic Party above all. And that's what he has to do is decide, if Joe Biden is a sinking ship that will take down the entire Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer will turn on him because that's what you do to preserve your party. And if that's the case, if Chuck Schumer goes, I don't think there's anything that can save Joe Biden being on that, can preserve his spot on that ticket. If Chuck Schumer says, all right, I'm out.
I wonder what kind of conversations Schumer and James Clyburn are having, because Clyburn has been saying for the last couple of days, we're riding with Biden. We're riding with Biden. We're riding with Biden. No matter what the question was and what it was in regards to, he would respond with, we're riding with Biden.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really curious.
Now, I mean, it's in a Model T, but
low on gas. Now
it's not a vet. Okay.
Now, question. This is a completely, it's a tertiary issue. It's a side question. Maybe we'll address it in future shows because it's not exactly. But what do you say to changing the system so outside money doesn't have the type of effect that it currently does?
I do believe money is speech. You've got the right to it. I think the best thing we can do is maximize transparency when it comes to actual campaigns, the actual donors to the actual campaigns themselves. I don't know that there is a solution. This is one of the ugly parts of freedom.
Right.
And I would rather have the ugly warts that go along with freedom than to get rid of the freedom, in the name of anything else, basically.
I'm curious if any of the listeners have heard any interesting ideas that they can bring up to us. So just send us a note. Maybe we'll talk about this later.
Yeah. 314-912-1019. Barely Big says, Big Boy press conference, must see TV. Ed says, Big Boy press conference, didn't know those restaurants were still around.
There you go.
I love that guy standing outside the restaurant.
I know, exactly. Hey, I told you guys, there's actually an antique store on Big Bend, not too far from my house. They actually had one of the old Shoney's Big Boys, like the big statue that was on top of one. I don't know if it's still there, but they actually had one for sale. The thing was probably 5 feet tall.
A good artist could buy that and make it look like Biden. I'm just saying.
Don't deface Big Boy.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor.
Hey, Columbo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We're on fire.
Yeah.
Van Halen.
That's right. I was like, you cannot mistake an Eddie Van Halen riff.
Oh, you cannot.
Nice. Deep cut with Van Halen. Every once in a while, David Lee Roth sang an actual rock song. All right. 7:51 right now. We talked a lot about Project 2025.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that conversation that we had is now up on our podcast. So check that out when you get a chance there and actually share that, because we did a lot of myth busting on what Project 2025 is. But you know who else took an interest in Project 2025? Because the left is just losing their minds over this.
Mhm.
Babylon Bee decided to push some things up too.
Okay, so they're doing their own demystifying,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the Babylon Bee, and they've got a story that they just published not even about a day ago. The 25 most horrifying plans in Project 2025 from the Babylon Bee.
So they're doing an expose style.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
exactly. So I
they
mean,
did the deep diving into the documents.
I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't want to give away the entire thing. You should go to babylonbee.com. But for instance, it just says here, rumors about the controversial Project 2025 have been all over the news recently.
Mhm.
But have you taken the time to learn what Project 2025 actually contains? The Babylon Bee obtained the following list of the most nefarious and horrifying top secret plans included in Project 2025, because we've already heard from the left that this is to destroy our democracy,
right?
To install a tyranny.
Yeah, a national socialist white supremacy,
right?
Dictatorship.
Exactly.
That's what I hear. It's kind of
we'll have Hitler in the White House.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
literally Hitler.
Here are some of the things the Babylon Bee tells us are the most nefarious parts of Project 2025. They're in Project 2025, man, to put Kid Rock's face on the $20 bill.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Wow. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it is
exactly.
a plank in the Republican Party
Right. Right.
platform. I remember them talking about that at the convention.
Do you think Donald Trump's going to walk up to the podium for his speech to Kid Rock's American Badass?
Oh yeah, there it is. I think so.
Am American Badass. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's his walk-up music for every instead of the
There you go.
instead of the presidential
Yeah. Hail to the chief.
Hail to the chief. Yes.
If Donald Trump were to do that, if he wins and he does that at the State of the Union, I'll give him $1.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Okay, Babylon Bee's list of the most nefarious things of Project 2025. Let's see here. Make Democrats scrub the floor of the Capitol while singing "It's a Hard Knock Life," while the Republicans chill like Miss Hannigan from Annie. And they go on to say that this is blatant partisan cruelty. It'll be like reliving the horrors of January 6th every day.
Every day. Yes. Oh man. Oh, that actually sounds kind of awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, here's this one. If you like that one, you're gonna be terrified by this one.
Okay.
Though.
All right.
Secret plans of Project 2025, according to Babylon Bee,
Mm-hmm.
mandate praying 5 times a day while facing Mar-a-Lago.
It's one of the 5 pillars. That's one of the 5 pillars. You got to do that.
Oh man.
Oh,
And
my gosh.
speaking of this one's described as just literal genocide. That Project 2025, if it goes into fruition, would eliminate 2,371 of the current 2,373 genders. That would leave us with only 2.
Oh my gosh.
Then what would you do?
That's
What would we
crazy.
do?
Literal genocide.
Little genocide.
According to the Babylon Bee,
Mhm.
Project 2025 would install the 4th and the 5th Reichs. That is more Reichs than even Hitler.
More
installed.
Reichs. It's more Reichs. There's so many Reichs. It would be the best Reichs in the
world. Okay, now this one's going to be controversial though, but
Okay.
I'm actually on board with this one. According to the Babylon Bee, one of the most nefarious parts of Project 2025 would be to get rid of the designated hitter in the National League.
Oh, wow.
Listen,
Yep, I'm on
don't
board.
tempt me with a good time.
There it is. That's the ballot candy. For
I'm on board.
25. Yes,
Bring
exactly.
it on.
Mhm.
I'm just saying here. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, Goat Lady rather says Trump did do a video intro to a Kid Rock concert.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. I didn't know that. All right.
Mhm.
Let's
buddies,
see
I think.
here. Project 2025 would appoint Judge Judy to the Supreme Court.
They could do worse.
I mean, those crazy conservatives are clearly trying to pack the court. They should put Judge Judy on. And who's the one that I'm seeing in my reels all the time? The family court one who's always doing the
pretty black lady who does the child support court.
She doesn't take crap from anybody.
I love her so much.
Yeah.
So there are some instances where she'll grab her mug of coffee and just kind of sit there like an absolute meme, just like, oh really?
Yeah. When she sits back with the cup of coffee, somebody's screwed.
Somebody's
yeah. I don't know who that is, but put her on there as well. Let's see here. I don't understand this one, Gabe. You may have to understand this one. You may have to. They say that Project 2025 would put Rian Johnson in charge of all Star Wars projects.
Oh gosh,
I don't know what that means.
Okay,
I'm out. A chest clip.
I'm out. I'm out.
Man.
No, see that is absolutely a nefarious plan there. Right? Oh my gosh,
Babylon B is breaking the news here.
Okay, yeah. So all right, so I am coming out against Project. if that's on the platform, I'm out.
I don't know who Rian Johnson is.
Oh, he's the one who directed The Last Jedi. That's the second of the new trilogy movies.
All right,
that only half of us liked.
Okay, so I think I got time for a couple more here.
Yeah.
Another thing, the Babylon Bee says nefarious plans of Project 2025 force mostly peaceful protests to be completely peaceful protests.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah. I mean, how can you protest without setting buildings on fire and destroying entire cities? And then, of course, ban abortion. Oh, just kidding. You don't want to alienate too many potential voters.
Oh,
conservatives wouldn't actually do that.
Little shade there.
Too much money to be made in keeping the problem alive.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Looking for a cruise vacation? Cruise.com is offering its exclusive sale of the year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Consumer prices actually declined 0.1% from May to June. That's the bottom line of the government's just released Consumer Price Index. Compared to a year earlier, prices were up 3% in June. A Republican election integrity bill not expected to go anywhere in the Democrat-controlled Senate after clearing the House. 198 House Democrats voting against the bill.
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise says the bill allows states to remove non-citizens from voting rolls, to keep foreign interference out of elections, maintain election integrity, and increase American citizens' trust in federal elections.
Why not have a safeguard to ensure that only American citizens vote in America's elections?
Current federal law states that it's illegal for foreign nationals or non-citizens to vote in U.S. federal elections or donate with regards to federal, state, or local elections to protect the integrity of those elections. Republicans say that illegal immigration has endangered that integrity. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
The storm is gone, but the lights have yet to come back on for more than 1 million utility customers in and around Houston. That has power companies scrambling to get the juice flowing again.
This is going to be a multiple day recovery.
At a news conference Wednesday, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick warned residents that it could take some time to restore electricity to everyone following Hurricane Beryl. But residents, especially in Houston, are wondering why the utility, CenterPoint Energy, wasn't better prepared for the Category 1 hurricane. The lieutenant governor says he's spoken to the utility several times.
We are urging them to work as quickly as they can to restore the power in the safest, but in the quickest way they can.
No power has left people sweltering in the heat. I'm Donna Water.
On Wall Street, Dow futures are up 2 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 19. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Not to brag, but Progressive's Name Your Price tool is mankind's greatest tool ever. Even better than the wheel. Sure, without the wheel, we wouldn't have modern transportation or funny videos of dogs riding skateboards. But without the Name Your Price tool, we wouldn't have easy access to auto insurance options based on our budget. And, well, cars do need wheels. They also need insurance, and insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever, the Name Your Price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Nowadays, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, or maybe a quarter tank of gas. You know what it will get you, though? For just $20 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data from Pure Talk. You get the same 5G network as one of the legacy providers, but at half the price with Pure Talk. Plus, dial pound 250 and say keyword spend less to save an additional 50% off your first month. Make the switch today so you can actually afford that.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
All right, the culture of life is on 2 wheels right now, heading towards St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And let me talk about why that's really important here in just a second, because There's a really cool event going to be happening this weekend because it's on the way. That's why we're telling you about it right now. But it's as much a part of the culture of life as it is the event itself. It is 8:05 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. Don't forget, tomorrow is Flashback Friday. And so if you have not got your 80s bump music request in, send them in today because Stell is off tomorrow. So is Q going to be in tomorrow?
I'm presuming it's Q, but nobody's told me for sure.
So I don't know if Quentin's going to be in or who's going to be in, but they're going to be playing whatever Stell puts in today. And so you've got your deadline today because once Stell's out of here today, he's out of here until Monday.
Yeah, I got to fill out the lineup card.
There you go. So be sure to send that in. Let us know on social media, which we had a couple other requests come in on the Rumble chat box. If you haven't seen it already, it's there.
Okay.
But email us or let us know here. Okay. When I talk about the culture of life, I mean, we get caught up on talk radio a lot of times getting focused on the politics of it.
Right.
And we get caught up in the policy of it. And that's important.
Yeah.
Okay. But remember, you've got tragically a very large number of people who just simply don't buy into the culture of life.
Right.
Because they get it conflated with the politics of abortion.
Right.
We need to be in that arena. But when you look at organizations like Thrive, you look at groups that do the work on the ground with or without the politics and just work with people and save lives every single day. That's the culture of life. I've even said this on the air. Even the most ardently far left, pro-abortion, whatever person should be able, if they're intellectually honest and they say, I'm pro-choice, they should be able to look at pregnancy resource centers like Thrive and go, okay, but you're actually giving people the resources they need. That's choice.
Right.
So they should be able to buy into that because that's the life-saving work, and you don't have to be a Republican or a Democrat or anything like that. That's why I try to remind people every once in a while, like, okay, it's one thing to vote one way. It's one thing to make a campaign donation one way. That's fine and good. But how about on the ground where what your volunteer hours do or what your donation does literally puts a diaper on somebody, literally helps somebody go through a financial literacy class, literally helps somebody go through shelter from domestic violence, whatever it is, the many things that PRCs do. Well, there's a pretty cool event coming up here, and it's bikingforbabies.com. Bicycling for babies, not motorcycles, bicycling. And I am joined right now by Nikki, and Nikki, I'm hoping I'm getting your name right. Biese? Biese? How am I saying your name?
So close. It's bees, like the insect.
Bees. Okay, so Nikki Biese from Biking for Babies. We've got this event. It is headed towards us. It's coming towards St. Louis. So this is sounds like a really fun kind of thing. But what you're doing is drawing attention and raising money for pregnancy resource centers like and including Thrive. So tell me about Biking for Babies from a bicycling perspective. What's actually happening? Then let's get into the why and how it's helping.
Absolutely, Mike. Thank you for all of that intro. And we are headed to St. Louis. We're also headed to Arlington. Those are our two hubs, our ending locations for our 9 total routes. And we're biking across the country to be witnesses to life, to show the world that the response to a crisis situation needs to be one of faith, hope, and love, and of how can I help you? And we proclaim the dignity of human life by uniting cycling with the formation of young adults into missionary disciples of Jesus Christ. So these are young adults who join us as bicycle riders or support vehicle drivers. They've been in months of formation prior to this week, preparing their hearts, minds, and souls, really, deepening their faith, so spiritual formation, and partnering at the pregnancy center so they can really learn the beauty of what is happening behind their doors and how they're serving these women in need, as you've described, and even the fathers, and trying to really unite families, to strengthen families, and really renew a culture in support of life.
Good morning, Nikki. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So tell us a little bit about the event itself. You mentioned 9 routes, and this is a cross-country deal here. And what locations are you starting? Where are you ending? And tell us a little bit about how that's going to go.
Absolutely. Morning, Gabe. So we have 6 routes that head to St. Louis. We've got Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, Nebraska, and Alabama as starting states. And then in Arlington, the routes that end there start in North Carolina, New York, and Ohio. Every route is about 600 miles long across the country, and we do it in 6 days. So an average of 100 miles on the bike for 6 days in a row. The bikers are on the bike for 10 to 12 hours at a time, really pedaling every pedal stroke for these mamas and these babies that need our prayers, for open hearts and minds to the culture of life. And then our support crew, as they're providing water and food and nourishment for our riders, get to see people at gas stations and along the way, and they get asked, why are you doing this? What is this? And we get to share really the reason for our hope, and really share about these pregnancy centers, and offer people this really true view of what the pro-life movement is.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question: is how does this translate into support for something on the ground like a pregnancy resource center? And then also, because I'm going to follow up on that part right there, is like, how does this actually work? And do you have any examples of, the impact that you're having with this? I mean, what's an example of something that's come from one of these rides, whether it's this year or in other times that you've done this?
Mm-hmm. So the tangible support that is provided to the pregnancy centers is made really due to the generosity of our mission partners and the work of our missionaries and our staff who volunteer or who fundraise. So we, if people go to bikingforbabies.com/give, they can make a contribution, and that goes to support the pregnancy centers that we partner with. We have 95 pregnancy centers and maternity homes on our list this year to contribute to and to raise awareness for, and that list can also be found on our website of our partners. And those donations just go to support the life-affirming work that's happening at pregnancy centers. And the impact, beyond the tangible support for these women really starts with our missionaries. We believe that personal transformation in our own faith and conviction that our lives are a gift, and that, the person in front of us, their life is a gift. Just every single human has inherent dignity and worth, and we need to start with ourselves and transform our own hearts to then radiate that transformation to the world. So our missionary formation is the first place that we see the impact, and then it's with their family and their friends who they invite into this mission. And a lot of times there's people even in our close circles who think, well, abortion is necessary in this situation, or I would never want to have an abortion and I would never wish that on anybody, but it should be available in case she needs it. And it's these conversations with the people that are closest to us, that we love and that they trust us, that really start that openness to just a conversation. And then we take that to the road. So on the road, we've had, for the most part, a positive response to our young people who are putting their faith and their pro-life beliefs into action, and they're doing something, right? They're sacrificing time, energy, everything to get out there on the bike and be witnesses to life. So people even open up and say, I had an abortion, or someone stopped us last year and said, my mom was in the abortion clinic and my dad went in and said, no, you can't do this. Like, I will help you. I will be here with you. And, so people get it, and they have stories. Everybody is touched by abortion, and it just allows people to be vulnerable and share their hearts with us.
We are visiting with Nikki Biese from Biking for Babies, bikingforbabies.com. What happens on Saturday here in St. Louis? Tell me about our part of this.
So in St. Louis, we get to party. So after 600 miles, we've got our Celebration of Life event. It is at St. Joseph Church in Manchester, and it starts at 4:00. We'll gather in support of life. It's a free event. It's a family-friendly event. We've got a kids zone, bounce houses, and then we've got, we'll welcome the missionaries in. It's a big moment, like a mile-long track of all of these riders and vehicles in a line. And we get to hear from a woman served by Thrive here locally. Her name is Jasmine, and she's going to tell her story of her unexpected pregnancy. And we get to hear from our missionaries and get inspired to really, find our own personal role in renewing the culture of life.
Okay. And so the fundraising aspect of this that you're doing, obviously you're supporting the operation itself and those conversations, but you're also supporting pregnancy resource centers like the Thrives around the country, basically. So this is specific to this type of outreach and ministry, right?
Absolutely. And we partner with both Thrive in St. Louis and the Thrive Metro East in Illinois. And as we continue to grow, we've had more and more pregnancy centers and homes partner with us as we get more and more missionaries to join us. So if there's a center out there that has not heard of us, that wants to apply, please go to our website. We would love to connect with you.
Okay. And people learn what you do. And if they want to get involved or anything like that, what's the way to do it?
I would go to bikingforbabies.com. My contact information is on there. There's information about being a missionary, being a pregnancy center, and really our boots on the ground work that we need help with.
All right. Nikki Biese from Biking for Babies, bikingforbabies.com is where you find that, all that information. And this happens, the St. Louis leg of this happens this Saturday, July 13th. Looks like starting around 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at St. Joseph Church in Manchester, like you just said. And is there a registration that's required or anything like that, or just kind of show up?
Ideally, we'd get registration. Again, it's free, but it would help us prepare enough food for you. But you are more than welcome to come out and cheer on the riders with us.
Okay, but really go to bikingforbabies.com and help us so we know there's enough food out there as well. All right,
we'll sounds like fun.
Yep. All right, Nikki, thanks so much. Really appreciate the update. Best of luck with the event, and hopefully we've got a good report and a very successful event come Monday.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
All right.
Nikki.
Once again, bikingforbabies.com. All right, let's dump some news on you here in just a minute. By the way, President Biden saying, and he knows why all those daily necessities are more expensive now.
Oh,
he knows
yeah,
what's
right.
responsible for
He's
that.
got the answer.
Got the answer. I'm going to share it with you just ahead here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh, hey. Get up. Can't you hear the alarm? Get up. This is your cousin.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Hey, it's Columbo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill, and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is the actual precedent set why Bernie Sanders cannot have a 32-hour work week.
The Department of Labor wishes to report that the workers of Fredonia are demanding shorter hours.
Very well, we'll give them shorter hours. We'll start by cutting their lunch hour to 20 minutes. Where's Fredonia? Oh, it's right. Oh, here we go. It's on the southern part of Gooberstam. Yeah. And of course, Rufus T. Firefly was the leader of Fredonia.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the U.S. House passes a bill that says states must make sure only citizens are voting in our elections, and a lot of Democrats are upset by that. President Biden explains part of the reason prices are so high on these daily necessities. And the Cardinals had a rough day at the office.
The Morning News Dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Now, Mike, before you get going, did you hear this from Jen Psaki?
What'd you say?
It's an interesting commentary. She says that Kamala Harris is an undervalued talent. She's a very fierce communicator.
The what?
Yeah, the vice president. Kamala Harris is an undervalued talent who is a very fierce communicator. I can tell by your expression you have many thoughts.
Yeah. I do.
Wasn't Miss Psaki one of the ones who said that, Biden's at the top of his game?
Oh,
he's one of the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. She was one of those. So apparently Kamala Harris is also at the top of her game when she's not explaining that AI is 2 letters.
See, here's the thing. Technically speaking, what you just said is correct. I think she is at the top of her game.
That's a good point. That is a very good distinction.
This is as good as it gets.
Oh my gosh. We can only go down from here.
Oh man.
I'm ordering my Kamalata. See, I can't even say it right now. The olives. Instead of Kalamata olives, it's Kamalata Mata olives.
It was funny. I had to be corrected because I would say Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing is for people of my age, when you say Kamala,
mm-hmm.
what do guys of my age think of? Come on, guys.
I have no idea.
I'm missing it.
You think of the professional wrestler, Kamala the Ugandan giant.
Oh, that's right.
Who feuded with Hulk Hogan back in the 80s.
Oh, man.
And everybody's like, no, it's Kamala. It's Kamala. It's Kamala.
Everybody says Kamala, though.
I know, they do. I mean, but even like if you find the old video before anybody had ever heard of her, before she was ever in office, when she was just Montel Williams' arm candy at award shows, which is true.
Yeah.
Fact check me if you want. Look up Kamala Harris, Montel Williams award show. You'll see that she's one of 2 women who are arm candy for Montel Williams.
Was that before or after Willie Brown?
That was before
okay.
Willie Brown. And somebody's like, oh, hey, just for who are the women next to you? And that's the first time I heard the pronunciation. He's like, oh, Kamala Harris, and then whoever the other woman was on there. But that's the first time. Yeah. All right.
Wow.
The House of Representatives passing what's called the SAVE Act on Wednesday requires proof of citizenship for voter registration in all the states. Senator Ted Cruz was on Hannity talking about the many Democrats who actually voted against the SAVE Act.
The 11.5 million illegal aliens that Joe Biden and the Democrats have let in, they want them to vote because they think and believe they will vote for Democrats.
Okay, the House passed the legislation 221 to 198. 198 members of the U.S. House of Representatives voted against a law to require that states make sure voters are actually citizens of the country. 198 members of Congress voted against that.
And there are a number of people on Twitter who are calling that treasonous.
Yeah.
And honestly, given the fact that they are also complicit in the destruction, dismantling of a solid immigration policy that was keeping illegal immigration pretty low, the fact that they've been ushering in all of these illegals, pushing in various states to register them, get them licenses and things like that, and are now against, mandating that they have to prove that they are citizens when they register to vote. It suggests that it's an invasion. They are supporting a foreign interference in our elections.
And we actually had a really good conversation with Joe from Tea Party Patriots, and that's going to be posted on our podcast a little bit later on today. I'm sorry, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Pascoe.
Yes.
First time we talked to Bill Pascoe. Thank you. That's going to be posted a little bit later on. He went into a lot of details to what you just said, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
As far as connect the dots here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out. That's going to be posted. Yeah, I don't know, probably 10, 11 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, plenty of dots to connect.
A lot of dots to connect. Okay.
I think Kamala's feud with Jake Roberts back in '87 was a better.
That was intense.
That was a better. Matchup between the Republicans and the Democrats fighting over immigration. Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you're going to bring her up one more time, Ed Stoyd on Rumble says Kamala is a fierce communicator compared to communicating with other communicators who communicate communications.
If you had a Venn diagram of the communicators and the communication, it would intercept and it would be Kamala Harris.
Yes,
exactly.
There you go. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see here. Other news. A private foundation pays for a recruiting campaign, and St. Louis police see an uptick in applications to become officers. Talking about the city police. St. Louis Police Foundation funded the 2-month campaign in May and June, and over 120 applications came in. That's basically twice what the department normally gets. Those applications are now being vetted. The department is still around 300 officers short of the staffing that they should have for a city the size of St. Louis, and nowhere near all those 124 applicants are going to make it through to become actual police officers, but that's who came in the funnel. So now they're vetting, because you have to bring in a lot more applications for each job that's out there. But it was a private foundation that actually funded that marketing campaign. Okay, President Biden spoke to union leaders at an AFL-CIO conference on Wednesday, and he says he and his administration have been making strong progress in improving the U.S. economy, but they've got more work to do, you think?
Mhm.
And he decided to explain why some of our everyday necessities are so darn expensive right now. So we're answering the question here, call it inflation, call it whatever you want, but right off the bat here in the sound bite, he explains who's really at fault here, okay? Brace yourself. Here it is.
Food prices are still too high because of corporate greed. We're in a situation where rents are too high. We need more housing. A whole range of things we're going to get done with your help in the second term, because that's what we got to get done.
Corporate greed, guys.
It's always corporate.
Corporate greed.
Yeah. So I think this suggests that during the Trump years, the corporations were just being really nice to us. They were just really happy with us. It's like, you know what, American people, we're going to keep prices low for you.
We don't want to make a profit.
No,
we're going to give you
profits are silly.
Corporate greed. There you go.
Profits are silly.
Profits are silly.
We'll keep you happy. Here's a Happy Meal for you.
That was back when a Happy Meal was cheap.
That's right.
Oh, man. All right. So President Biden still, as we're saying, there are more and more defectors who are being public or who are simply acknowledging, I am not going to take a position on whether or not President Biden should continue his campaign, facing a lot of concerns, mental fitness to serve in that second term. But Senator John Fetterman was on Jesse Waters' primetime last night on Fox, and he says, you know what? He is actually staying with President Biden.
He certainly isn't as sharp as he was 5 or 10 years ago. Of course, that's a reality, but that really doesn't mean much for me personally about my supporting the president.
I mean, with that kind of comment, what do you say if you're the White House? Thank you.
I guess.
I saw an interview yesterday with Alan Dershowitz, and my first thought was, this guy's 85, and he's sharp as a tack. So it was me comparing what Biden's doing with where Dershowitz is at.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, John Fetterman, every once in a while he surprises us. We're like, okay, I like this part of John Fetterman.
Right.
But with this one, I'm thinking, that's not the flex you think it is. I don't think you help. It's like the little kid in The Simpsons. I'm helping. No, you're not. The Biden administration is like, stop helping. Well, yeah, he's slowed down. He's not as sharp as he used to be. I mean, that's the tone of voice you have. It's like, hey, is grandma going to be there? Well, she's not what she used to be. Maybe she shouldn't be involved in the decision.
Yeah, we keep an eye on her when she's in the kitchen. That's what that sounds like, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, every once in a while you burn the house down. It just happens.
Right? Big.
Keep the knives away.
Oh, man. All right. Okay, this is kind of cool. And not just because it's one of our partners here at News Talk, but Window World. They are raising money for a great nonprofit. And here's the thing, your home could get a complete makeover in the process with this. This is really cool. It's why I wanted to put this in here. So what they're doing is they are auctioning off a home renovation that's valued at up to $45,000. So you win the auction, you get the whole kit and caboodle. It includes up to 15 windows. And of course, I brag about their windows all the time, but it also includes insulated siding, gutters, oversized downspouts, a front entry door system, all the labor to put it in. So if you win, you just win the whole thing here. Bidding is open to anyone here in the St. Louis area, but it's also open to people in Kansas City, Columbia, Missouri, Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois as well. Proceeds benefit Action for Autism, which supports children with autism and their families. You can learn more at windowworldkansascity.com. And I've actually put the link to the actual auction and the details of it up in the Rumble chat box. Can we put that up on our social media as well?
We can.
All right, we'll do that as well. So check it out. Bids are going to be accepted through July 18th. So you can still get in there and make your bid. All right, the Cardinals had kind of a rough day at the office. Both ends of the doubleheader went to the Royals. In the first game, though, Nolan Arenado, Alec Burleson, and Paul Goldschmidt all had home runs, but the Cardinals still lost 6-4. In game 2, Lars Nootbaar, that's a name I haven't read in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Lars Nootbaar had a home run, but the Cardinals lost 8-5. Redbirds are off today. They start a series at home against the Cubs on Friday. Originally, Sonny Gray was going to be pitching in that second game. That got changed. He's now going to be starting against the Cubs on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So we go from an I-70 series to an I-55 series.
Basically, yes. Can you call it an Amtrak series?
Yes. Oh, there you go.
The Lincoln Runner series.
River Runner series.
River Runner's Kansas City to St. Louis.
Okay.
Lincoln Runner is St. Louis to Chicago.
All right.
Yeah, I've done them both. So Cubs in town. Cubs always travel well. There's going to be a lot of blue at the station.
And by the way, there are 2 games on Saturday with the Cubs because one of them is a rescheduled game from earlier in the year.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
That's
there's another split doubleheader on Saturday.
Yeah, so you go, you watch the first game, and then they're like, get out.
No, come back.
Come back. All right. It's always fun when the Cubs are in town.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Tons of dry time today, but I do expect isolated showers and storms to dot the radar from time to time. No severe weather expected, but if you get caught under one of these cells, a brief downpour and some gusts of wind are possible. Afternoon high today at about 89 degrees. Down to 71 overnight tonight, just a slight chance of a shower or thunder shower. And more of the same for Friday, just a little warmer, 91 tomorrow afternoon with a spot storm possible. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
While some establishment Democrats want Joe out, the radical members of the squad have his back. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
If you had $1 million in 2009, today it would be worth less than $700,000. Thank you, big government. Hedge against runaway inflation with gold from Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. I trust Birch Gold, and you can too.
Text the word SHELTER to the number 989898 and get a free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Text SHELTER to 989898 today.
It's a confusing phenomenon. While more establishment Democrat types like James Carville and David Axelrod and at least 6 House Democrats have called for Joe to drop out, members of the super radical squad have Joe's back. When asked by reporters, both Reps AOC and Cori Bush signaled they are behind Joe Biden's re-election effort. Why the heck would the most radical members of the party stand behind Joe Biden? Why wouldn't they push for the first female black president, Kamala Harris? Why is the squad going to the mat for Joe? Think back to the Democrat primary ahead of 2020. It was the moderate Democrats that got Joe across the finish line. Far leftists have been routinely shafted by the establishment, most notably in the case of Bernie Sanders and the Bernie Bros. So why are they now circling their wagons around Joe Biden while the moderates want him out? Interesting. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well, Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders. Fine jewelers.
Hey, Columbo here for the great cleaning pros at Zero Res. Summertime in St. Louis means barbecues, graduation parties, and spending time with friends and family. And Zero Res knows how important it is to have your home as clean and healthy as possible for your loved ones. So they have an amazing summer offer for you. Book a cleaning in July and mention the Columbo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and a 4th room free. Just mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
All right, next week's going to be a wild week in politics because the RNC is going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, media is wanting to gin up as much drama and conflict as they can because that's what gets clicks. And obviously we're going to find out by the end of next week. I mean, it could be this weekend for all I know, but probably sometime next week, we're going to find out who Donald Trump has picked to be his running mate. But more importantly, the afternoon show right here on News Talk STL, Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, going to be broadcasting all week from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
Whoa.
So they're going to be there.
That's a big deal.
We are going to have updates from Chris or Tim, depending on the day, each day next week right here on the program. So you're going to get your preview of the day right here on Mike Ferguson in the morning.
So Tim is gallivanting all over the country because yesterday he was in Boston.
Yeah.
And I think over the weekend he's going to be in Bar Harbor. What do you call it up in Maine? Bar Harbor? Is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
Up in Maine. And then he's going to Milwaukee. Boy.
He's a globetrotter.
He really is. Checking out all the different accents because you got the Boston one and then you got the guys in Milwaukee with their own accents.
See, my brother and his wife just moved to New Hampshire. So they've got that New England thing. I wonder if that's something you pick up. I mean, if you go to the deep South and you're there for like 45 minutes, you start picking up their accent.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I don't know if you do that in New England or not.
I'm not sure either because I know when we go to Hannibal, Kathy comes back with a Hannibal accent.
I did just a hair, just a little bit when I was in the Boston area. It's a little thing. The thing is, it's only slightly different than the New York accent I kind of already had.
Right.
So it's kind of it felt weird, but it was happening and I didn't like it.
Yeah. All right. So next week. So make sure also that you're following along on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and just look up News Talk STL because we're going to have updates
and
from
Rumble,
the convention and Rumble too. We're going to have updates from the from the convention as Chris and Tim are up there. All right, it's 8:38. Let me kind of focus in on just to remind everybody kind of what's at stake. People talk about the culture wars. We talk about obviously the election season and all that sort of thing. And a lot of times people will enlist hyperbole, including people on our side.
Sure.
But it is not hyperbole when I say, no, they really are coming for your kids.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the hard left and the whole gender nonsense and gender ideology thing. And here's an example. And boy, is this a conundrum for Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
The legislature in California, they call it the state assembly there. We have the Missouri legislature, the Illinois assembly, the California assembly. They passed a bill known as AB 1955. This has cleared both chambers. It is now on the desk of Gavin Newsom, and he's got until I think Monday or so to decide whether to sign or veto or whatever he's going to do with it, a bill that makes it illegal for schools to even tell parents if their children are struggling or wanting to change anything related to gender or how they present or their names or anything like that. So this is in response because the left got really angry at some school districts in the state of California that passed laws that said, no. A kid comes in and tells the teacher, I know that I'm male, but call me she, they, or whatever. Oof. Or I want to start wearing a dress, or tells a counselor or teacher, I think I'm the opposite gender. I think I'm transgender. then they were immediately told, you've got to let the parents know what's going on. If Billy comes in and says, I'm going to go change into a dress and you call me Susie, there's some school district that said parents have a right to know that. Now, in California, the parents may go, I'm so proud of, what's her name? Susie.
Yes, they would.
Honey, did you remember Susie's jockstrap in the store?
Actually, they be bragging to their other,
Right.
lefty parent friends about how supportive they are of their child's transition. I happen to have a trans child, and I'm just so proud.
Do you think? I honestly think that there are people on that far to the left who actually would brag and celebrate if they had a kid came in and say that.
Oh, it's absolute
Right.
narcissism. It is. Jordan Peterson actually talks a lot about these the sort of devouring parents who use their children as ploys to get attention for themselves. So
So the reaction that you may get from the parents, who knows? But those school districts said, no, we're going to tell the parents if something like that's going on.
Yeah, because you got to tell your parents when anything happens with the kid. Johnny was barking like a dog today in class, and we were concerned. So I think you ought to know as a parent, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to,
hey,
Johnny decide to change into a skirt in between classes, and I think you should know.
And he wants us to call different, or even like, hey, Susie was in the nurse's office. She was just really not feeling good. Can we give her a couple Tylenol? She says she's got a headache.
Right.
Okay. But under this law, if Gavin Newsom signs it, it would be illegal for school districts to tell parents that this gender ideology, gender dysphoria, social, whatever you want to call it. I call it mental illness.
It's
I call it
social contagion.
Social contagion. To literally decide to keep the parents in the dark, and the state. Remember, your local school district, your public school district, is an element of the state. It is a government organization. It is a government body, governmental body.
They work for us.
Yeah, in theory. And so they have decided that they will rear the child.
Yes.
They will take care of that part of it. And parents are not allowed to know about that part of a kid's life. This is beyond evil. Now, I could rant and rave about this till the rest of the show, and I turn things over to Vic. But here's the thing, Gabe. Gavin Newsom now has to decide what to do, and he possibly could be the Democratic nominee for president by next week or the week after that, whenever the Democrats have their convention. So he could become the Democrats' standard bearer. Now, I think that if it was certain Joe Biden was going to remain on the ballot and was going to be running, that I think Gavin Newsom goes ahead and signs this, and he doesn't worry about it because he has nothing to worry about in California. But if there's a prospect that voters in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin and Nebraska, they don't care about Missouri, but all these other states, that suddenly they're voting on him, and he just signed something that said, do not tell parents if this child says, I want those hormones and chemicals. I want that surgery. I want to wear a dress. Don't tell mom and dad. And the governor says, I think that we're going to make it illegal to tell mom and dad.
Oh, there's absolutely a political ad against him in those states that will hit.
Right.
Based on that vote.
Will be phenomenally effective because we see the backlash that's happening against not even just the whole trans thing. It's actually affecting public perception of all the LGBT stuff.
Yes. Absolutely.
There's now an LGB movement.
Yeah.
Which
I've seen that.
Which I have a problem because LGB means let's go blues.
Right. Exactly.
And they're co-opting that.
Stop it.
But the L's and the G's and the B's, to paraphrase Dave Chappelle, the L's and the G's and the B's are basically saying, we're done with UTs.
Right.
You're dragging us down. And in this case right now, Gavin Newsom would have to answer questions all over the country. You just signed a bill that makes it illegal to tell a fourth grader's parents that they want to change their gender. Explain that. Answer for that.
Explain yourself, sir.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are a lot of people who are, they're planting their flag on that hill. They're saying, look, this, I was supportive of the whole idea of gay marriage. I'm okay with you. Do you. Hey, if you want to put it on dress, whatever. But now you're starting to come for my kids. You're starting to push this stuff. The agenda has gone too far, and people are pulling back. They're I think, legitimately questioning some of the other aspects of LGBTQ activism that has been, prolific in America for goodness, the last couple decades.
Well, and especially in public schools.
Yes,
They are
particularly in
completely
public schools.
captured by this ideology.
Yes.
We know that's the case. So not only do you have, and by the way, don't think that's just California. Go take a walk around your local public school. You're going to see some of these flags.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see safe space stickers. Your local public school has people who think this way too. Don't think for a minute that they don't.
Right.
And you're like, no, but I'm in this district here in suburban Missouri. They're not that way. Yeah, they are.
Like, we're in rural Missouri. How could they? No.
They're just as radical, because the public education system is captured. But in California, parents know, the public knows that this is happening, that part of the mission of the school districts is to spread this ideology and to compete against parents. And now you could have a presidential candidate signing into law something that says it's illegal to even tell the parents that their child is struggling with something as sensitive and personal and emotional as sexuality.
Yeah.
That's just evil.
The intensity with which the LGBTQ activists, maybe not all the the folks who identify that way, but certainly the activists are going after our kids is notable.
Right.
And you must take note of it. It's like your kids are your pride and joy. They belong to you, parents, and not the education system, and not the advocates who use the education system. But the intensity with which they have try to get their agenda through, and the most radical version of their agenda as well, should tell you something about where they're coming from.
Right.
There was this one bill, I think, what was it? I can't remember what state it was, where they were trying to increase the penalties basically for selling children for sex.
It was California too.
Was that California?
Yeah, that was California as well.
Yeah, and the activists came out of the woodwork against this bill, talking about how it would impact their community. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait one freaking second. Are you telling me that changing the penalties for trafficking children is going to impact your community? You're telling on yourself.
Oh yeah, they're telling you who and what they are.
Yeah.
That's so true. They literally came out and said, we oppose this bill because it would disproportionately hit the LGBT community. And we're like, well, then this sounds like there's a problem in the LGBT community that needs to be addressed.
Yep. Hey, unpopular opinion. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Do it.
I think child grooming, and this is based on all indicators to me, child grooming is part of LGBTQ culture. As in, it's a almost a foundational part of it.
Ooh, there's a hot take.
That's a hot take from Gabe Pfeiffer. Hey, look, if you're part of the community and you want to dispute me on this, come at me. But every time I've come across somebody who belongs to that community, they talk about how they had a sexual experience when they were a minor with an adult, and they talk about the how they were brought into the fold of the community by a nice older person who's been there and done that, right? And there's usually a sexual aspect to that relationship on top of the mentorship or what have you. And then, of course, you have this advocacy, which is directly towards running children's camps, running classrooms, being involved with children everywhere. How do I divorce that what I see with my eyes from your culture? Tell me.
All right. So far on at least on Rumble, and then Gabe and Stella watching Facebook and Twitter. Nobody's arguing against what you're saying. Ed says, Gabe, you're spot on. Rebecca says it's all about preying on children. Rebecca actually a little bit up the chat box there actually says that don't think for a minute that the GOP is that the Republicans couldn't fall to this at some point too.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We already see them backing away from a lot of conservative stuff as it is. Possible. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. And getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, standing above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
Liberal mega donors are always looking for new rhinos to do their bidding. And with Adam Schnelting, they found their new star. Adam Schnelting has already backed their radical plan to defund our police. And he skipped countless important conservative votes. Skipped a vote to protect kids from sexually explicit materials in school. And skipped a vote to protect churches from junk lawsuits. It's no wonder Adam Schnelting is bankrolled by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's top funders. Bill Cristofanelli is the only leader we can trust to protect our conservative priorities. When radicals tried to defund the police, Bill Cristofanelli passed record funding from Missouri's law enforcement. When Joe Biden left our southern border wide open, conservative Bill Cristofanelli banned sanctuary cities and voted to send Missouri National Guard troops to secure the border. Vote Bill Cristofanelli, the proven conservative, for state senate.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
You know, we haven't talked to Karen Catalin in a few weeks. I forgot how to pronounce all the Yiddish words, so we'll get another Yiddish education from Karen Catalin Thursday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
I know a girl, she gets what she wants all the time. 'Cause she's fine.
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here in just about 11 minutes. Can I do a little bragging thing here?
I think you need to. I think it is not only your professional duty, but it is your husbandly duty.
It is. It's very, very true. Vivek Ramaswamy, really, I would say one of the more, after his campaign, he kind of left the campaign being one of the more popular voices on the right now. I think that's fair to say. Even if you didn't vote for him, even if you don't think didn't think he was the right candidate, whatever it is, I think, a lot of people I like that guy. There's just something I like in that guy. And he does I think it's basically weekly. He does a podcast, but it's on video. It's on Rumble and Instagram and YouTube and all of those, in addition to the audio podcast. It's called The Truth.
Yep. With Vivek Ramaswamy.
The Truth with Vivek Ramaswamy.
Because he spoke the truth. Remember this, when he put Ronna McDaniel on notice.
At the first debate?
Yeah.
Oh, that was blistering.
That was awesome.
That was epic.
That was blistering. Yeah, if you go to YouTube, it's The Truth Podcast, or I suspect it's probably on Rumble on the same. And they're producing another episode of that today. And you may say, well, how do you know that, Mike? Well, I don't know Vivek Ramaswamy, but he reached out and asked my wife to be the guest on the show this week. So Rachel's going to be here in just a little bit, and we've got a video studio here through SR1, or SR1 has a studio here at our thing, and so my wife Rachel Ferguson is the featured guest of the next The Truth with Vivek Ramaswamy. So Vivek Ramaswamy is actually going to interview my wife here in about an hour. Now, I don't know when this is going to be released. I don't know if it's going to be today or next week or anything like that. I don't think it's a live show. So they're going to record it, and then I'm not sure when it's going to be released.
A lot of times you don't know with podcasts when they're going to
Right. They can sit on it for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know.
At least looking on his YouTube channel, it's just the Vivek Ramaswamy YouTube channel, and he has The Truth Podcast has sort of a playlist. It is released weekly, at least on YouTube. And it's usually just an individual that he's talking to. So their face is going to be right there with Vivek's. So It's possible it's either going to be this week. Because let's see, he just released one 21 hours ago.
Okay,
so
probably
so in a week from yesterday,
week or two, because next week, with this being the next week being the convention.
Oh yeah, he might.
So
do
I
a
wouldn't be
convention
surprised if it's 2 weeks after that, because what they're talking about, and apparently he has read some of my wife's work in the different publications she's in, and he's very interested in her take on free markets and urban renewal. As far as opportunities and stabilizing neighborhoods and conservative free market solutions for that. And so that's actually what they're slated to talk about. And Rachel and I were talking about this last night, and I said, listen, here's what I think you can expect. I think you can expect unusually smart questions.
Yes.
I said, I think you can probably also expect follow-ups that are looking to be very, very probing into the actual thing. I don't think that he's interested in being an infotainment influencer. I think this is going to be a really interesting, thought-provoking, high-level conversation, is just my guess.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. I've only seen clips of that podcast, but generally speaking, from what I've seen, he just he just seems like Vivek. I mean, the guy that you saw on the debate stage is pretty much him. And he likes to ask interesting questions, makes interesting points, and talk to interesting people. And Rachel's one of those interesting people.
Yeah, absolutely. So I could be this week, could be next week.
Probably.
My guess it's going to be after the convention.
After the convention,
but they're actually recording it. I'm going to try to sneak in there and get a couple pictures, which put out there. If I can do that, then I'm going to get those, and we'll put those out on the social media and everything.
Absolutely.
As well. All right. Fun one today.
Yeah,
that was good. All right. Don't forget, Chris Arps and Tim Jones are going to be at the convention next week, and every day next week on this show, we're going to have a preview of what's happening at that convention, and God knows what's going to happen, because it is a political convention. And I'm telling you, the powers that be love to script those things, but it doesn't go as scripted a lot of the time. So you're going to definitely want those updates from the convention all next week as well. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here. Then after that, Dan Bongino, of course, and then Colombo and Company. Right before Tim and Chris, and then of course the great Larry Connors after that here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Wake me when the show starts.
It's already been on a while.
Wake me when it's over.
Hard hit center field. It's deep to the track, to the wall, and it's gone. Matt Carpenter has homered again.
Summertime in St. Louis means Cardinals baseball. Head to the ballpark the weekend of July 12th through the 14th when the Cardinals host the Chicago Cubs. This weekend showdown includes a Saturday day-night doubleheader. Tickets start at just $15. That's the Cardinals and the Cubs, July 12th through the 14th at Busch Stadium. Get your tickets today at Cardinals.com.
This is Matt Carpenter, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Michaelis brings it home. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Have a cold one. On the Cardinals, don't miss Budweiser's first Beer Fridays at Busch Stadium. Tickets start at just $15 and include your first beer on the house. Each first Beer Friday ticket will be loaded with cards cash that can be used to purchase a Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, or any beverage of choice. For full details or to purchase tickets, visit Cardinals.com/Friday.
This is Miles Michaelis. Get your tickets now at Cardinals.com.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636